Yes, here they are, the teams of 82 and 83, more or less the same team with all the substitutes as well. There was a Kilkenny team looking for a first McCarthy Cup success for 3 years. In 79 they'd beaten Galway. Well, Brian Cody was the captain of 82 and the captain of 83. Well, that was Liam Fennelly. And like Gerald McCarthy, an opponent in those finals, he captained senior and under-21 All-Ireland winning teams.
As you can imagine, he's rather busy at the moment. So the Kilkenny manager is represented by his brother Niall. We welcome please Niall Mooney.
Well, Brian being represented here, one of the great, most brilliant backs indeed, only yielding 3 points in those 2 finals to opponents. Wow, McBrennan, winner of 4 All-Ireland medals in the 70s for starters. He was a real tearaway player, still fondly remembered. Very clever wing forward from a family that contributed handsomely to Kilkenny's hurling story. Well, Nicky, one of the top wing backs of that era, well able to turn a defending team into an attacking force by wisely using possession. This man, Frank, one of the iconic figures in Kilkenny hurling, a quiet man off the pitch, but on it he was a colossus. Ger, a really forceful and skillful midfielder or centre forward, terrific at setting up chances for those around him, great player. Well, Kevin served with distinction in goal and of course went on to be a much acclaimed coach as well. One of the great characters. Sean Fennelly, well worth his place on any Kilkenny team and a player who went on to give sterling service to the county. Billy was the star of the 83 final. His artistry was one of the abiding memories of another triumphant Kilkenny afternoon. Christie got 2 smashing goals in the 82 final just before half-time, and they tilted the game in Kilkenny's favour. Ger was an essential cog in the double winning years, powerful and dominant at number 6. John was one of the star cornerbacks in those years, and he went on to promote the game later by coaching in County Wicklow. Gentleman Joe was always a joy to watch, fluent and impressive and a marvellous competitor. Frank Houlihan, just after the double winning years, he went on to play many a fine game at cornerback, I seem to remember, in the Cats. McKelly from Shamrocks, corner forward on the Shamrocks team that won an All-Ireland in 1981, beating the Bars in the final. Quite amazingly, Pawdy was the only sub used in those 2 finals for Kilkenny. He came on in 83. Kilkenny won a Club All-Ireland in 1976 with James Stevens, and I think he finished playing hurling with Westmeath Club Castletown Gagan. Well, a great applause again here on what is now quite a sunny afternoon at Croke Park. Paddy, an inter-county referee, of course, as well, and his father Mick made many of the hurleys for Kilkenny players, including Eddie Kerr. He was some cornerback, excelled in the corner for Kilkenny in those years. He was one of the great man markers of the time. Richie scored a goal within seconds of the restart of the 1983 final, and it was the score really that sealed Cork's fate ultimately. Paddy, part of the winning half backline in 82 when Cork were unable to break down Kilkenny's strong resolve. Billy was from Fenians and Johnstown, very accurate forward, very good underage player as well, won medals at minor and under 21 level. He was a commentator's dream. He was instantly identifiable, but even so, backs just couldn't get the better of him. Gordon Ryan went on to become a Garda superintendent from St. Lochtan's club in Freshford. Well, representing his dad, and Harry, apart from his great hurling skills, showed tremendous work rate and enthusiasm. As Marty says, Noel gave two brilliant performances between the posts in those two finals, thwarting Cork time and again. Eamon Wallace from Erin's Own emigrated to the United States shortly after those finals. He was a very good centre field player. Yeah, member of the James Stevens Club in Kilkenny City, won colleges with St. Kieran's as well. The Waltons had quite a dynasty in Kilkenny hurling. This was the team that atoned for a couple of poor years just before the 82 finals, but 82-83 they were double years, league and championship in 82-83, and after that the Cats were not to win another All-Ireland during the 1980s, and their 8-year barren spell ended in 1992 when they finally got the better of Cork in the final. So making their way off, they gave many great moments of pleasure to so many fans all around the world. Right, the Jubilee team moving off. More presentations coming. Meanwhile, let's go back to Michael.
Well, I remember actually presenting those two All-Ireland finals for RTE Radio at the time. I had Garrett Edwards with me at one stage for the 83 final, I think it was, the great Welsh and Lions rugby out half. And I said to him, how would you fancy being down on the field there with a hurley in a tough game like that? He said to me, I wouldn't fancy being down there without a hurley in my hand.
I can tell you that, Michael.
You remember the
introduced Ross to it. Yeah, I was a raw, skinny kind of 19-year-old there.
You played the 83 final against those lads.
1983, going in right corner forward on a man called Dick O'Hara, you know, and you can see Dick there now. He's gone a bit kind of grey in the head of small bit, but back then that was black, and I can tell you there was a bit of
Grizzly
blue.
Adams.
There was a bit of blue thrown in at the end of it as well. But I mean, they were hard, they were tough, but they were fair, Michael, as well. You know, when you looked at Frank Cummins and the Jar Henderson of the sort, they were great players. I mean, Cork came up in '82. They were the star-studded team. They thought they'd nothing else to do after blazing through Munster, but Kilkenny were waiting in the long grass, and like, it was a fantastic victory. And we felt in '83 again, like maybe we'd get the chance, but I mean, certainly, I mean, 2 in a row for Kilkenny was a very, very good team.
And this, of course, gentlemen, is the pedigree that these players, the players of today, have followed in.
Yeah, Michael, see, the legacy's been handed on the whole time. You're talking about the likes of Frank Cummins and Ger Henderson and Dick O'Hara. These colossal players, and as Tomas is very fair, very hard, very honest. And they're just handing on the back into these fellas. And the one thing about Kilkenny, all the top teams, they always have a star that kind of comes to the fore. You had Eddie Kerr, brilliant. Now, he was on a good team, was a brilliant player. You had a DJ Carey, brilliant, on a very good team. Now you have Henry Shefflin on a very good team. It's up to the like Limericks and Tips and Corks and Galway coming. They have to have their star on that team. If you're going to be very, very good, you have to have a good team. But you also have someone that's able to ignite the whole thing, just do something different, especially on the big day. Now maybe Limerick will have it today, we don't know yet that, but already like the Henrys of this world have done it, the DJs have done it, you know, for Kilkenny and Eddie Cares have done it. You had them down through the centuries really, but like that's what Limerick are looking for today. Someone to stand up to the plate. The likes of Andrew Shopton, he's playing well all year, but like nail it today, make an awesome, but to make a name that he did it in an All-Ireland final.
One thing, we saw Evan Niquillan down in Kilkenny earlier on. We saw Eddie Brennan, for those of you who were watching with us earlier on, talking about trying to get the Kilkenny people to show the passion they have. They have the passion for the game, to show it, to get behind the team, to cheer them on, because the players need that kind of response. That's one thing about Kilkenny.
Yeah, and I mean, Michael, there's nothing better than the player that doesn't have the medal in his back pocket, you know. I mean, the hunger and desire that's going to come out of that Limerick just from even the way they ran out onto the field there, Kilkenny. I mean, it's happening from year after year. You'd say, look, it's only a matter of form, it's only kind of going through the same routine. But like, the reality is they are a good team. Certainly, personally don't think they've played their best hurling as of yet this year, right? Whether we see it or not, you know. I don't think Henry Shefflin had his best year this year, being honest with you. He didn't score the last day from play. Jackie Terrell, who was captain last year of the team, certainly came under a bit of pressure the last day against Barry Lambert in the semi-final. Barry Lambert got 4 points from play, you know. So I'm sure Limerick are sitting back and they're saying there are a lot of pluses in the Kilkenny side, but there are a lot of maybe negative sides to the thing as well, and they can use that themselves. And they've been highly positive all year, certainly. And if they go out and maybe adopt the same approach that they had against Waterford, which they need, try and get the start that they did against Waterford as well, and keep themselves in the game without conceding goals, they have a great chance.
Well, there's one anxious Limerick woman obviously anticipating this All-Ireland final, as here comes our heroes, here come Limerick's Earl.
Yeah, and you're going to hear the roar here. Getting off a jet plane here.
This when they come out.
They're outnumbered 4 or 5 to Kilkenny 5-1, but that's the way it is. Like, Limerick are passionate about any kind of sport.
And when you can see that, just look at the difference in the body language here coming out.
There's a big change. If you look at the teams nowadays, the warm up, the bonners, the drills, all this fancy stuff. Kilkenny are still a very traditional team. They'll have a very simple kind of approach to it. But like when they get down to hurling, they can hurl. Now it's up. Limerick are after hitting the field running there, but they're going to have to hit the throw-in run as well and on the ball. Because like Kilkenny are experts at taking all the belts, controlling it, and then going on and winning. They'll have to kind of be controlled aggression if they're going to win this. But like, it's unbelievable out there. Like, we can't fully hear it here in the stadium, but like in the studio. But like, it's a sea of green really. Now Kilkenny are here in support too. But like, if Limerick win, I'll guarantee you one thing: no Stewart or Cops will hold them off the pitch. They'll know they'll cover all Croke Park. They'll cover Jones's Road. They'll take over Dublin for the weekend.
I think JP McManus managed to get most tickets for this All-Ireland final for the Limerick fans.
There's not about that, Michael, and there's certain things in newspapers today that there's a big bonus down the line for them as well, you know.
So sure not, yeah.
I mean, I don't know whether that puts added pressure on Limerick as well, but I mean, this man has been a bread fish here. I know people maybe kind of one or two after match comments maybe after the game the last day, but I mean, that's all part and parcel of Richie Brennis, right? I mean, he's wearing his heart on his sleeve. He's done it the traditional way. There's no nonsense about him. As I said at the start of the year when he came in to take him over, he went very much back to basics again, and they've shown that, and it's been a breath of fish here. I mean, it's been fantastic seeing the championship today.
Okay, well, we have a commercial break coming up. After that, we look forward to this year's All-Ireland hurling final, a match not only being greatly anticipated by hurling fans here at home, but places far afield as well. All-Ireland final of 2007, the clash between Kilkenny and Limerick, and the throw-in is at 3:30. Here's the scene along Jones's Road and Clonleaf Road, and houses and streets around Croke Park. In Croke Park today, as you can see, packed to capacity. Still a few have to make their way in just yet, but they have 15 minutes to do it. Now, before the break, we saw some messages from people who will be tuning in to the big event in various places around the world. But for Kilkenny and Limerick fans heading to the match, well, the tension is growing. Let's hear from Joanne Cantwell, who is now outside Croke Park.
Well, it is getting close now, and I'm wondering if there are a few nerves starting to show. Again, there are still a lot more Limerick fans about than Kilkenny fans. He's one of them. Dara, are you getting nervous now?
No, not nervous. Like, John, we'll run away with it in the end. Like, it's only a matter of time, Kilkenny. They're running scared, I'll tell you that much.
They haven't really been challenged yet either, have they?
They're a good team, like, give them that, like, a class act. But, like, Limerick will run away with it towards the last 5 minutes, I guarantee you that much.
Oh, there's confidence. Let's see what Eileen Walsh has to say about that. Are you confident as well for Kilkenny?
I'm confident enough, but Limerick are a good team, but I think we're a little bit better now.
And why is that? Who's really good in the Kilkenny team?
Henry Shefflin.
He's going to do it today for Kilkenny?
Yeah, he's going to do the business.
He's going to. Who else is good?
Charles Fitzpatrick. He's brilliant as well.
Well, there you go. Both sets of fans very, very confident, but who's going to be right? We'll find out soon.
Yeah, by the way, that microphone, Joanne, here, that's standard colour. There's not a secret message involved in all of that. Well, it's time here on the programme to give you a detailed rundown of the two teams. We hand you over to the commentary box, and we're joined by Ger Canning.
Thanks very much indeed, Michael. Let's start by taking a check on the Cats. And Kilkenny make 4 changes from the team that started last year's All-Ireland final against Cork. PJ Ryan comes in for James McGarry in goal. JJ Delaney and Brian Hogan replace John Tennyson and James Ryle among the backs. And Richie Power loses out to Willie O'Dwyer at right corner forward. Hogan and O'Dwyer are starting their first senior finals, while captain Henry Shefflin is starting his 40th game for the champions. Well, not surprisingly, Limerick named the same starting 15 that began the semi-final against Waterford. Mark Foley at left top is the only one with senior final experience from 1996. He's also playing his 40th championship match behind a forward line that's been tracking in the goals of late. The inside line of O'Shaughnessy, Begley and Ryan have 7 in the last 3 matches, and career-wise they share 21 championship goals equally between them. Alongside me here I've got Michael Duignan to take an even closer look at the two teams. We'll start with Kilkenny and PJ Ryan.
Yeah, a big injury doubt coming into the game, broke his arm the last day, and you know, you'd have to wonder is he 100% fit, but obviously with James McGarry on the bench they're well covered there, but he's having a very solid year for Kilkenny.
Now the full back line, it's much as we anticipated.
Yeah, well, vast experience. Michael Kavanagh has been around forever, and Noel Hickey is a huge big day player. You know, carried a hamstring into the game as well, so a little bit of pressure on that full back line early on, and it'll be interesting to see how they settle.
In the half back line, I guess there'll be some questions asked of the number 6, Brian Hogan.
Well, John Tennyson and James Ryle were 2 of the best players for Kilkenny last year in the final. Neither of them starting today. JJ Delaney missed last year's final through injury, and Hogan is under a bit of pressure, but Tommy Walsh, one of the greatest players I've ever seen, and you know, watch out for him. I think he'll have another outstanding game today.
There's continuity, Michael, then in the centre of the park, Ling and Cha.
Yeah, beautiful balance. Ling for power and just pure energy, and Fitzpatrick has great hands and long range scoring ability, and you know, Limerick really have to, if they can break even here, they have a great chance today, but I think Kilkenny have a superb midfield.
Well, from here on up we're talking about a rotation system.
Yeah, like, it'll be interesting to see. Eddie Brennan will probably start inside with Martin Comerford outside, but I think he'll be used on Mark Foley as well to try to expose maybe the aging legs. And what can we say about Shefflin? You know, that hasn't been said. I think that's a huge motivation. Captain of Kilkenny today, and you know, he'll want to lift the Lee McCarthy Cup.
No Richie Power in the team, so the 2 corner forwards, bit of pressure on them.
There is. I thought Richie Power was a certain. I think he's a super player, so it just shows you it's Brian Cody's policy, whoever's playing better in training, and I think also he wants to keep, you know, Richie Power is some man coming in off the bench, but Comerford again, like Noel Hickey the other end of the field, a huge big day player.
Kilkenny have won the toss. Richie Hogan, by the way, number 31. He's been given a jersey. Let's take a check on Limerick, starting with their goalkeeper, and that's Brian Murray.
Yeah, Brian Murray. His dad, Terence, was one of the top referees for years in the country, and I think he's brought a lot of stability, a very solid goalie, and having a great year in the Limerick goal.
Well, this is a highly competitive, highly combative full-back line.
Well, the 2 cornerbacks are outstanding. They're probably in the All-Star Premier positions before today, and Lucy is a great leader and, you know, a mighty man to have there, and I think they'll be a hard line to break down.
I mentioned in the half-back line that Mark Foley has All-Ireland final experience already.
Yeah, fantastic player for, you know, 12 years, 13 years now for Limerick. The legs are probably going a bit, but he'll hit a lot of ball, and Geary holds the centre well, and Lawler is one of their best under-21s, but you know, they'll be under pressure to contain that Kilkenny half-back line.
I wonder how much help they'll be getting from their midfield. Will they play deep, in fact?
I think they'll play deep. 2 100% wholehearted players to give everything they have, and not the flashiest hurlers, but really play with their heart in their sleeves, and particularly Mike O'Brien, and they'll have to do very, very well today to stop the Kilkenny midfield.
The half-forward line, a mix of young players and the very, very experienced Ollie Moran as well.
Yeah, Ollie's having a huge year. Sean O'Connor out injured all year, and Michael Fitzgerald having a fantastic year. I know he wasn't right the last day was taken off, but he's been defined of the year for Limerick. He's been outstanding, along with Seamus Hickey on the other side. Two great young players.
And the full forward line, loads of goals there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm delighted for Shaughnessy. He's been around forever, and still he's only 22, and he's huge pressure on his shoulders, but he's really delivered this year. And I think Begley and Donny Ryan are two players to get a lot of stake in Limerick, but those three players have been outstanding the last day, and a lot of responsibility. I think they're going to need at least 3 goals if they're going to win today.
Wow. The head-to-head this afternoon, it's quite a head-to-head, isn't it? It's Henry Shefflin on the left there, and Andrew O'Shaughnessy on the right. Well, let's see who comes out on top. Back to Michael.
Yes, Jaron, Henry Shefflin, who is the Kilkenny captain, had one up already on Limerick. He's won the toss, and that means he's opted to play from left to right as you're looking at it. So Kilkenny will be playing into the Davin end here that we're in, as it is now, as it used to be the Canal end. If Limerick opt, as I presume they will, to bomb big ball in to Brian Begley, he's a bigger man than Noel Hickey, good and all as Noel Hickey is. A lot of Limerick people feel this is their trump card.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tactic that they have to use, I think, Michael. But the other thing as well is, as we saw the last day, they have a habit of bringing Donny Ryan way out to midfield, right? I mean, if they are going to do that and they're going to pump big ball into Brian Begley, I feel it's imperative that Shaughnessy has to stay close by as well, because pick up the breaking ball. Yeah. I mean, Noel Hickey is a fine player himself. Kilkenny has shown in the past you don't have to be a big 6-foot full-back to actually marshal the square as well, and Noel has actually done that himself against a big opposition as well in the past as well himself. But if Begley was to get enough of a ball inside there and he wins it off the ear, he needs somebody to be coming around to pick up the breaking ball or pick up the hand pass off him as well. I mean, he's shown himself down here the last day as well. He has the ability to get the scores, but I would expect Limerick to target that full-back position from the off.
Well, I suppose he will have to get the ball, and Shaughnessy will have to be in around him, because if Michael Dighton is right and Limerick need 3 goals in this game, that's a big ask.
Yeah, well, like everyone's talking about the 5 goals the last day, but maybe they don't need as many. It's very unusual to get 5 before they get 5 the next day. There's no doubt about it. It's a big jewel, but Hickey's about 6 or 7 inches smaller than Begley, but he usually comes out on top.
Sure. Well, the President of Ireland, Mary McAleese, is here as usual, of course, with husband Martin there in the background as well, about to be introduced to the crowd now, and Ger Canning will describe as she's introduced to the teams for us in a moment.
The presidential salute for Her Excellency President Mary McAleese, and now accompanied by GAA President Nicky Brennan, who's having a very busy day, part of the Jubilee team as well, coming across first of all to meet Kilkenny and their captain Henry Shefflin, a Kilkenny team with 42 All-Ireland medals shared by the 15 starting players. It's the county's 8th final in 10 years. That's Brian Hogan there, JJ Delaney, Derek Ling from Urlingford, Shaw, Eddie Brennan, there's Owen Larkin, moving along the line to Aidan Fogarty, who of course was man of the match in last year's final, just alongside Martin Comerford. And next, the President will meet the referee, who's Diarmuid Kerwin from Cork, Gary Kelly there from Westmeath, on the linesman Michael Wadding from Waterford, Brendan Sweeney from Cavan will be the 4th official, and the umpires are Brendan O'Leary, Albert O'Riordan, Liam O'Leary and Noel Toomey, all of them from the Éire Óg club. And now it's the turn of the Limerick captain Damien Whale to introduce his men. Limerick's first final in 11 years. Obviously no All-Ireland medals. Stephen Lucy there has a chat with President McAleese. 15 under-21 medals shared by 8 of the starting team this afternoon, and more in the subs of course as well, with Niall Moran and the 2 Tobins, Kevin and Pat, if they get a chance to play. Ollie Moran, who began his Limerick career in 1997, won a league medal that year under the management of Tom Ryan. There's Sean O'Connor, Andrew O'Shaughnessy, could be highly influential, big Brian Begley and Donny Ryan, a precocious talent who's come on and tormented defences in the last 2 matches. Came on against Clare, a goal and 2, and then helped himself to another couple of goals in the semi-final against Waterford. So the build-up continues, and the match is now just about 5 or 6 minutes away here in Croke Park. We'll be back in a moment.
On the other side, Kilkenny will look at this and they say, can they see themselves be 10 points down as Waterford were after 19 minutes? Can they see themselves conceding 5 goals? Waterford hit 17 wides. Can you see Kilkenny doing that? And I say no, I say Kilkenny will win this.
Okay, there you hear it from the panel. Commentary on the All-Ireland hurling final then of 2007 is by Ger Canning and Michael Diamond.
Thank you very much indeed, Michael. Yes, Croke Park has seen a lot of big occasions over the last 12 months, but All-Ireland hurling final day, well, it's an occasion of huge sporting significance wherever Irish people congregate. You know, if you talk to golfers or you talk to rugby stars or soccer icons or racing greats, they'll all tell you that their favourite other sport, I think, is hurling, and the place to be if you're a hurling lover is Croke Park on the first Sunday of September. These Kilkenny players have that wonderful privilege. Tommy Walsh there, one of the great young players over the last couple of years. Kilkenny very definitely the favourites, but Limerick's bid for success this year, it started out in Nina in mid-February, and they started with a team very much along the lines of the one that's starting here in this year's All-Ireland final. They wanted to beat Tipperary in that opening league game. People said, sure, it's only the league, it's inconsequential. But they achieved their objective, and they've come all the way through here. And Michael, when you think about it, would you have put any money on a Kilkenny-Limerick final back in March, April?
Well, no, I wouldn't sure, to be honest with you. You know, I don't think anybody could see it coming, but what an atmosphere. It's, you know, this is what makes hurling great. You know, it reminds me of '95 when Clare came after such a long break and they beat us in the final. But the atmosphere that day was very similar to today. Like, there's definitely 3 to 4 Limerick supporters for every Kilkenny supporter, and there's a massive atmosphere here. And just let's hope it doesn't get to them. Stephen Lucy looked very relaxed there, and Donny Ryan. And a quick word on TJ Ryan, one of the greatest Limerick players. Missing out, retired this year, and Donny's brother is playing, and you know, you feel for TJ and all the great Limerick players, the Kieran Carey's and Gary Kirby's and Mike Houlihan's. So the lads there are playing for all those as well. But Kilkenny take this in their stride. They're here every year almost. You know, Croke Park is the second home to them. They won't be phased. So Limerick have to really relax, get into the game and enjoy the occasion. And if they play to the top of their ability, they have a chance, but they're going to have to do that.
Well, Michael, weather-wise, I think it's a typical Irish summer's day. You get the 4 seasons, a bit like Melbourne down in Australia. You get the 4 seasons in the one day. We had a lot of mist at the beginning of the minor match, which of course was won by Tipperary, beating Cork in that final. And now the sun is out, or attempting to come out through the leaden clouds overhead as the two captains march behind the Artane band. And what a day it is for Damien Rail. You've got to feel a certain degree of sympathy also for James O'Brien. He may come on during the match. He's from Brewery. He'll be wearing number 22 if he comes on. And he was the captain, or would have been the captain, if he'd made the team, but didn't do so. But they argue and they say it's a 20-man game. It's even a 30-man game if you look down through all the subs.
I think, Jerry, you've hit the nail on the head. I think that's going to be a big factor today. The Limerick subs during the year have made a big impact, whether it be Kevin Tobin, Pat Tobin, James O'Brien. They've come in and done a job for them. And Kilkenny, you know, they have James Ryle, John Tennyson, Richie Power, John Dalton. They'd be on any other team in the country, you know. Fantastic players. And, you know, it just shows you the strength and depth that Kilkenny have. And Brian Cody is honest to all those players. They know if they don't do it in training, they don't get on. And, you know, like the Richie Power and Ryle and Tennyson have to be very disappointed. But that's what makes it. And it is now a 20-man game.
Let's hope it lives up to the hyperbole that's gone ahead of it. Limerick, I said in the build-up about 2 o'clock that they were probably outnumbering the Kilkenny fans about 3 to 1. And I think that's probably thereabouts the figure, wherever they all got the tickets from. We're now going to have the national anthem, the Artane band, and tenor Paul Byram. It's now down to the 30 players starting this match. Will it be Kilkenny's 30th All-Ireland and 2 in a row? Or will Limerick come and win their 8th? First since 1973. Kilkenny won the toss. They'll play from left to right in the first half, which means that PJ Ryan, good that he has recovered sufficiently from that hand injury to be able to take his place, play in his first final. He will be down near the Duneen end, Hill 16. Diarmuid Kerwin was in charge of the league final between these teams last year. That was won by Kilkenny. They're the favourites here as well. No clean possession from the throw-in, but finally there's an opportunity for Kilkenny to break away here. Tommy Walsh has decided to discard the red helmet right from the off, sending it up there towards Eddie Brennan. Possession and pressure on Seamus Hickey. He's fouled. It could be a tough physical battle, this one. Let's hope there's loads and loads of skill as well, and the referee will have a very central role to play. Free to be taken by Brian Geary. 30th championship match this afternoon. Running repairs by the goalkeeper. Henry Shefflin and Martin Comerford have switched positions. Sun in the eyes of the Kilkenny backs for the opening half. In towards Brian Begley, and that ball going to the left. Well, they'll have to use possession a lot more prudently than that, you would feel. They'll have a plan hatched, that you can be certain of.
Kilkenny, homework done. Willie Dwyer on Mark Foley, Eddie Brennan got into the corner, and Comerford and Shefflin switched, as you say, but they'll keep moving around all day.
And it'll be interesting to see just how Limerick approach their defensive work. Here's Peter Lawler. He excelled when these teams met in the championship of the quarter-final stage 2 years ago. Ollie Moran's had a great year. Out towards Andrew O'Shaughnessy. It'll be interesting to see if JJ Delaney picks him up. It might just be a switch that they might consider. That's whipped away by JJ Delaney that time. Into the corner. Up towards Aidan Fogarty. Stolen away from him. Henry Shefflin tries to get the ball back. Won by Stephen Lucy. Limerick's fullback. Darting away from the challenges. Damien Rail with a bit of work to do. Trips. Referee says play on. Kilkenny do. Martin Comerford was trying to get it. So too was Aidan Fogarty. And in the end the referee saw a foul. And it's going to be a free into Kilkenny and a chance for them to get the first point on the boards after just 2 minutes of play. Well, now this is a significant moment for Henry Shefflin, because he's already scored 18 goals, 295 points. Now the point is, if he puts this over the bar, it's his 350th. You've seen a little piece of history. First point of the match, and a championship notable point for Henry Shefflin. Second highest scorer in the championship of all time. Brian Murray ready to puck it out. His dad Terence, of course, refereed 2 All-Ireland finals. Sent towards Sean O'Connor, but won again here by Tommy Welsh. 2 balls that he's won so far. Sent across towards Owen Larkin. Spills, then regains. Taking on his man. 45 metres out, Larkin. Steady, assured. And he's become a much more consistent player this year. Good score by Owen Larkin, and the first 2 points go to Kilkenny.
Yeah, and Jerry, that's the strength of Kilkenny. They're so big in the half forward, and Tommy Walsh, great catch, and a high ball in. They can play it in high, play it in low, and they have the height in the forward line to win the ball. And you see how far out their half forward and they're playing. They're way out past midfield, leaving loads of room inside.
And again, this is picked up here by JJ Delaney. That's a couple of balls he's picked up now. In towards Henry Shefflin. Lucy there to win the battle if he can. He's got a knock to the face. This is while he's wearing that face guard. Stephen Lucy, who's a doctor in Limerick City. And you can see, telling the referee there was a hurley used across on top of him that time, and a temporary substitution may be required. Yeah, there was indeed. It was Eddie Brennan.
Yeah, Eddie was high with the elbow there, and but Lucy is not a player that goes down easily, and he got a high knock to the face. Eddie is lucky not to be getting the yellow card.
The butt of the hurley was quite close to his face when he met that.
Yeah, well, it's what Lucy does when he wins possession. He ducks down and drives out the ball, and Kilkenny obviously looked at that, and Eddie met him there square on coming out.
Dave Boylan, the doctor, out there along with Barry Heffernan, who's the physio, tending to the injured Stephen Lucy. Well, he's going to have to go off perhaps and get a stitch on that one, so it may mean a temporary sub coming in. and the player who's going to come in for them is number 26, Mark O'Riordan.
Yeah, they want to get him back on, Ger, because, you know, Lucy has done fierce well. He's won the first 2 high balls, but, you know, while he's off there now, Geary will go back full back, but they want to get him back on as quick as possible. He started very well.
Brian Murray with the free. Big one all the way in towards Ollie Moran, trying to break it, but it's the eagerness of Kilkenny again, and Tommy Welsh coming out with it. Stopped this time in his tracks. Shawty O'Connor trying to get in, and he was fouled. Combination of players bringing him down. Shaw Fitzpatrick was one of them, and Derek Ling was the other. The Limerick fans just waiting for the first score for their team. Andrew O'Shaughnessy coming over to take this. And Stephen Lucy's back on, so Mark O'Riordan making his way off. He was only on for, I suppose, 60 seconds. Andrew O'Shaughnessy now. Left-handed strike, as we know. Oh, he's dropped it short. Should have put it over the bar. Didn't look too confident hitting that one, and the goalkeeper didn't look too confident and needed Jackie Tyrrell. Ploughing his way out past Donny Ryan. Out as far as Brian Hogan. Got a great point in the Leinster final. But now it's all about defending this afternoon. This is into Henry Shefflin. This looks dangerous. Looking for a support player. Not the best of passes back. Fogarty was coming onto it, and I think he was looking instead for Owen Larkin. But it's Donal O'Grady who gets it away for Limerick. Out to his left-hand side. Mike O'Brien. Whipping it away down. Aim towards Begley, and Donny Ryan runs in there instead towards Noel Hickey. It'll be interesting to see just how recovered he is from the hamstring injury. He's been undergoing the treatment in recent weeks. Again, this is Brian Geary. Back to Stephen Lucy. Down towards O'Shaughnessy's corner once again. Being marked by Jackie Tyrrell. And the referee has blown his whistle as they played away for a moment. Free to Kilkenny.
Yeah, great catch here by Tyrrell, going back towards his own goal, but just back to Shaughnessy's free there. You know, I was just going to say it here before he took it. They look easy, but when the pressure's on, you know, it's an awkward one, 45, 50 yards out, and you know the nerves got to him. You'd even see him taking a drink of water before he took it. And Limerick need to settle, because Kilkenny have settled straight into their stride.
And Kilkenny made no changes at the back. Didn't switch JJ Delaney and Tyrrell around to face the threat of Andrew O'Shaughnessy. They're perfectly happy that Tyrrell can mark him. Right now it's Peter Lawler getting the ball away. Inside here to Mike Fitzgerald. He's had a good campaign so far. The 20-year-old Garda overhit this one, wasted possession, and that's another one that's gone astray. First one was from a free that was overhit. This one overplayed by Mike Fitzgerald. Not really giving a chance to the inside forwards to become active.
Oh, you need to get the ball in front of Donny Ryan, and here's Donny moving way out the field now. Kilkenny back to their sharp puck out.
Straight to Jackie Tyrrell. Not for the first time in this year's championship. They go with that short puck out. All the way in towards Eddie Brennan. Breaks towards Henry Shefflin. Limerick backs there. Stephen Lucy holding on to it. A commanding figure. Over the sideline. Line ball to Kilkenny. So this is going to be Cha Fitzpatrick who will cut this ball up. Student teacher. Referee wanting a word or two with a couple of players. One of them, Mike O'Brien. Cha makes a good connection this time. Well cut up. Safely taken in here. Dangerous moment as Eddie Brennan lets fly! And Eddie Brennan gets the first goal of the game in the 9th minute. He really is a goal king. You remember the two he got against Galway in the very last 10 minutes of that match. What a good start here. Kilkenny making the perfect start to the All-Ireland final. It was all about Eddie Brennan. It was all about getting by Seamus Hickey. And he rifled it way into the corner. And Brian Murray had no chance. 1-2 to no score. Dream start for the favourites. The champions in command. Ollie Moran trying to win it, but it comes back instead here to Cha Fitzpatrick. Getting it away up towards Henry Shefflin. They're in another dangerous situation. Henry hand passes it to the back of the net, and there's another goal. Just a minute after Eddie Brennan's goal, Henry Shefflin rose in with another.
Jerry's lethal. Look, he's just in behind here. And a brilliant catch over Stephen Lucy. He's a big man as well. He's 6'3" or 4", And he obviously just flicked it in there. Another player wouldn't have had the vision. You can't obviously hand pass it in. He just got to hurl up and flicked it into the net.
And immediately you fear for Limerick's chances in this final.
Yeah, 2 brilliant goals, and Eddie Brennan's finish was just exemplary. But Tommy Walsh and JJ Delaney just dominating in the half-back positions.
And again there's pressure on the Limerick backs. This time it's Aidan Fogarty looking for another sterling performance this afternoon. Back once again it comes. Again they steal forward to Owen Larkin, and Larkin sees this one come off the post and over the bar. A second point for Owen Larkin. So the half-forward line that started out notionally 10, 11 and 12 have been getting all of the scores so far. That off the post and over. Just 5 attacks so far and 5 scores for Kilkenny. How much more ominous could that be for Limerick's challenge? That's caught there by Sean O'Connor. They need players to step up to the mark now to overcome the fear and the nerves. Mike Fitzgerald, Ollie Moran, they need a score. That's a poor effort, however, in towards Begley. Hickey going down, taking it. Everybody waiting for it. No referee's whistle. I thought he might throw the ball in a few seconds ago. He's got to do so now. Well, that Ollie Moran shot there, they really needed it to put over the bar, get a score.
Yeah, well, hurling is a funny game, get a couple of scores and settle down and get back into it. But the occasion, we've talked about it beforehand. Kilkenny are taskmasters, and Limerick just need a couple of scores to settle them now.
Again, it's taken out by JJ Delaney, former hurler of the year in 2004. Down towards Aidan Fogarty, caught here this time by Stephen Lucy. Into the centre to Brian Geary. He's having a go all the way in. Donny Ryan's watching it, but the keeper's watching it as well. No hint of an injury there by PJ Ryan as he deflected it away out over the sideline. Well, this is a goalkeeper who has 3 All-Ireland medals so far, and Richie Bennis, who has won from 1973. Now he has seen his team have the most miserable start to the All-Ireland final.
Yeah, and it's obvious that Kilkenny, they targeted the full back line. They brought in Eddie Brennan and Shefflin straight from the start in there to go for goals and go for the jugular in the first 10-15 minutes in his work.
O'Shaughnessy going by Jackie Tyrrell. This time he was held. Kilkenny were a little bit slow in spotting the run of O'Shaughnessy towards the sideline taker. And that's a ticking for Jackie Tyrrell. He's been noted. And this free on that right-hand side of the field might suit Andrew O'Shaughnessy a little bit better. Needs to put this over. 12 minutes are gone. Limerick need a score. Again, it's gone a bit short, but it's just about had the legs to make it over the bar. And finally, there's a Limerick score. It's something to cheer about. Well, they have in the past had some horrible first halves. They've had some great first halves as well, but you remember the second game against Tipperary down in Thurles.
Yeah,
10 behind at half time.
Their tactic from the puckouts, I think, is very strange. They're leaving their 2 wing backs loose, Limerick are Peter Lawler and Mark Foley, and bringing their 2 midfielders back. So even if they get possession, Kilkenny are going to have extra men back at their end of the field, and it's going to be very hard to get scores against them.
Donny Ryan in there to challenge, and Donny's team get the decision. Michael Wadding from Waterford, the linesman on this near side.
Yeah, just to go back to that point, it's one thing to bring your midfielders back to play in front of your half-back line, but to bring them right back to mark the wing forwards and the wing-backs to go behind them, it means when the ball breaks out, the Kilkenny midfielders are going to be onto the break straight away. So it's too negative a tactic in my book. You need to go and play on your merits and go and take them on, or otherwise they could get a hammer in here.
Well, we're watching out for that. Well, the Limerick fans looking for something to cheer about. Meanwhile, the Cats followers are very, very happy indeed. Noel Hickey clearing it to the centre of the park. Caught beautifully by Mark Foley. Letting it in high. Shockless is in there. Tyrrell is tussling. Came off Tyrrell's hand towards Ollie Moran. Quick as you like. Good flashing shot, but it's put outside and it's wide. And that's a 3rd wide for Limerick. And Ollie Moran still looking for his first point in this match. Well, they've travelled with in huge numbers, with great faith, great expectation as well, needing something from their team. What can they conjure? What can they come up with? Broken down here by Brian Geary this time. Kicked on there by the Kilkenny half-forwards. Again, it's Mark Foley being dragged around the place, and that's going to be a free to Limerick. Protest there by Owen Larkin. Well, having made the perfect start, Kilkenny, will they drive on? Will they rest on their laurels a little bit? Will they allow Limerick a chance to gain a bit of superiority? Brian Geary to take this free. Just inside his own 45-metre line. All the way in towards Brian Begley, the big man going up for it, but again, unable to take it, and it's Tommy Walsh instead. Making a great start to this game. Into Donal O'Grady. Donal O'Grady driving it for the middle of the park, and Donal O'Grady this time puts it over the bar, showing the way, and that's Limerick's first point from play. It's taken a quarter of an hour, but they begin to eat into Kilkenny's advantage. 7 points the margin. Can they turn it around?
Sorry, good comeback, Jerry. 9 points down, they've settled down, got the last 2 scores, and just need to keep winning possession. Shefflin has changed out to the half hour now. Brilliant take.
And Shefflin in full flight again, letting it go, but that time to the right hand side. It's a period in the game you feel will Kilkenny and Henry Shefflin will just want to consolidate. Perfect start, brilliant start indeed.
Yeah, and you see Limerick have moved Brian Begley out already from the edge of the square, out to wing forward, and obviously to try to win some primary possession from the puckouts, but it's very early stages to be moving them from the edge of the square.
Ollie Moran touching it down, but the eagerness, the anticipation of Charles Fitzpatrick who went back to help his halfbacks. He gives it, however, to Shawnee O'Connor, and Shawnee O'Connor puts it over the bar. Much better from Limerick. 3 in a row now for the Munster team. And Shawnee O'Connor, who had only about 20 minutes or so of the first game against Tipperary, went off with an injury, came back in the last couple of matches, and he's a very, very good player, and today he's got the stage to really show what he can do. PJ Ryan's puck out. Let's see now what Limerick will do here. Plenty of players back. Ball falls kindly for Seamus Hickey onto the shoulder, came in, and it hots up. Referee has blown his whistle. He's got a call across Brian Geary to have a word with him. I think the referee had made his mind up what he was going to do, and Geary must have said something.
Well, I think the ball was going out of play, and he just came in, in over the line after the thing was given and hit Shefflin after the ball, and that's why he's calling him to one side.
So this could be the first yellow card of the match for the elbow.
Yeah, he was the third man in, Jerry. That's a rule they often talk about. He came in after the play, and it may be a softish yellow card, but he has to watch himself now.
Well, he can't have any complaints. On his hands and knees there was Eddie Brennan, the goal scorer, the first of the goal scorers. Has it again, Eddie. Shorting the grip on the stick and putting it over the bar. Good lethal play by Eddie Brennan. He'd only scored 2 points in the last 4 finals that he'd played in, but a goal and a point this afternoon after 17 and a half minutes. 2-4 to 3 points.
Yeah, and Eddie was talking to a friend of mine during the week, Pat Cleary, the 2 guards, and he was saying they had to match Limerick's hunger, and you can certainly see it in Eddie's play since the start of the game. Now, Seamus Hickey has taken that inside the 21-yard line, strictly speaking a throw-in.
They got away with it. Kilkenny having gotten their first score in 8 minutes, battling again on the half-back line. Ollie Moran looking for something special. He's got something special. A point for the number 11. So all of a sudden it's only a 6-point game. What a wonderful sport this is. You can be a good distance behind, and all of a sudden you're back in it, and back in it in a very meaningful way.
That's Ollie's third chance and a great score to settle down. Limerick are settling down and beginning to play some good stuff.
That's Henry Shefflin breaking it up there from Brian Geary, who's got to be careful now because he's got that yellow card. Owen Larkin prodding it ahead of Mark Foley. Foley going back, trying to stymie the half forward. Taken back, and the final shot is not such a good one. To the right of the target and well wide by Henry Shefflin. So Brian Murray playing today in his 12th championship match, having had a very productive year so far. Again towards JJ Delaney's wing. That's going to be a Limerick ball. Went off one of the Kilkenny sticks. Fair amount of the ball has gone down JJ's wing so far. Okay, Shockness is down there as well, but there may be a feeling that JJ's not had the greatest of seasons. He started very well.
He started brilliantly. To be fair to say, he hasn't had his best season by his standards, but he started first well today.
Here's Mike Fitzgerald. Back once again here. And that is another! Ollie Moran with 2 in a row. Remember the 5 he got against Tipperary in one of the 3 matches. Took it here on his left-hand side. Got there before the attempted block. Straight up and over the bar. And only 5 between them. 2 points from 3 scores, or 3 attempts by Ollie Moran. That's back once again by Peter Lawler. Out over the sideline, however, and a line ball to Kilkenny.
Yeah, Ollie Moran has won a lot of ball there, and you know, Brian Hogan with John Tennyson on the line, he's going to have to tighten up because Tennyson is not going to be left on the line. Great catch.
What about this for a good catch?
Yeah, Peter Lawler, outstanding under 21 player. Wasn't part of the panel last year, but Richie Bennett's got him back this year, and he's a super player and having a big game as well.
Fans are enjoying it a bit more now as JJ Delaney whips on this one. In towards Martin Comerford. Taken down by Peter Lawler once again. Comerford was protesting, he's been held. Comes back out again. And that ball, easy as you like, put over the bar by Owen Larkin. 3 points for Owen Larkin. 3 out of 3 shots that he's taken so far.
And Ger, how do Kilkenny do this? You know, every year there's somebody, and I actually said in a newspaper article this morning, I thought Owen Larkin was due a huge game. He's been finding his feet over the last couple of years. Last year it was Aidan Fogarty. Here it is now, Owen Larkin, 3 points already after 20 minutes.
Oh, we've just been saying what a great catch that was by Peter Lawler. Well, now he's got really has got his hands full. JJ Delaney struggling to take that. It's Donal O'Grady instead. Inside towards Mike Fitzgerald, who's gone into the inside forward line, and Noel Hickey has pulled up there. He's struggling. I don't think he's going to be able to continue as the ball is whipped across the face of goal and it's still in play. Hickey is in trouble with the injury. Out comes PJ Ryan, and I think Kilkenny are going to have to make a change immediately. They're on the attack once more here with Willie O'Dwyer. He's got a quiet opening. Seamus Hickey trying to get the ball away. He's pumped up. But straight away I noticed that Dr. Ty Crowley has got in down the other end of the field to have a look at Noel Hickey, and I don't think he's going to be able to play on.
Oh, Jerry, he's gone, you know.
And John Tennyson will be the one who will come on for him. It takes a long time to recover from a hamstring injury. Just watch the way he was chasing Mike Fitzgerald, felt it immediately. His left leg pulled up there, tried to play on, impossible.
Yeah, it's an awful injury to have, Jerry. You can go okay in training, but when the pace is lifted at All-Ireland final day, if you have any twinge there at all, it's going to go. He had an outstanding start to the game. It's very sad for him. He's been brilliant since the start of the game, but Kilkenny were ready for Tennyson has been warming up since the start of the game. It just affects their options a little bit. You know, they'd love to have Tennyson maybe to go in centre back with half an hour to go. That option is gone now, so Brian Hogan has to steady up now and come to the fore more, and Tennyson will go in full back.
That is a very big loss, because Brian Cody would hardly have taken a chance on Noel Hickey in the first place if he didn't realise his importance to the team. Bit of a gamble, Hickey hasn't come off.
Hickey, Tommy Walsh, Shefflin and Martin Comfort, they're the 4, and Cha Fitzpatrick, they're the key men for Kilkenny, and he's probably in All-Ireland finals over the last 6-7 years. He's been the outstanding player, and now he's gone. Tennyson will probably go to centre back, Hogan plays full back with O'Loughlin Gales. That's his more natural position, so Tennyson will be happier at centre back.
Okay, so John Tennyson comes on for Kilkenny, coming on to play in his 13th championship match. A lot of people felt he should have been on from the very beginning in Kilkenny. This is going to be a free for Brian Geary. We've lost a minute or two there, which will be added on at the end of the 35. Brian Geary to take this. Miss-hit it. Tony Ryan coming out to try and make something of it. Tony trying to link up there with Mike O'Brien. Instead it is Kilkenny who are digging in more vigorously than ever. Good hoop that time by Ollie Moran on Derek Ling. And everybody piling up to try and win possession. Frantic stuff. Brian Geary getting it back. Whipped away by Seamus Hickey, the 19-year-old. This is John Tennyson. Whoa, he tapped that in classical style, as if to emphasise the point that he should have been on from the very beginning. Here comes Larkin. Larkin's having a great match. Inside, Brennan blocked down, but it's gone over the bar. Eddie Brennan takes the credit. He's got a goal and 2 points. But a near certain goal was prevented that time by a very quick piece of defending. Watch Seamus Hickey getting across there. And that is a brilliant little block. That would have been 3 points. Instead it's 1.
Yeah, and Owen Larkin involved again. And we mentioned Peter Lawler. He needs to tighten up as well there. Larkin might have taken a lot of steps there in the build-up, but you know, he's playing fierce well since the start.
3 chances falling Eddie Brennan's way so far. He's taken the ball. Here's John Fitzpatrick running into a block there from Mark Foley. That's away here by Henry Shefflin. Shefflin on his left-hand side, looking at the post, looking at his handiwork, and the crowd applaud.
Sure, that's a brilliant score. If you see the little flick here in the replay, flicked it through, I think it was Geary's legs coming across, made it look so simple, but brilliant skill.
That was an absolutely wonderful piece of hurling.
Yeah, we didn't see the flick there, but it was just a beautiful piece of awareness, knew where he was on the field.
11 attacks so far, Michael. They've taken 9 of them. Once again, it's out of danger from the half-backs to the half-forwards, and this time it's Mark Foley, the left half for Limerick, who takes it. Comfortably taken by Brian Geary, but he was being challenged unfairly, and Seamus Hickey is down with an injury, and straight away the physio and doctor are in there to attend to him. Didn't see what happened. It's to the side of the head, as you can see, his ear maybe. Young player, very, very talented young player at that. I can only assume when the ball was in full flight that time there was a little bit of a clash, Michael.
Yeah, I didn't see it. It seemed to be after the ball.
Yeah, they were both racing for it there, himself and Eddie Brennan. Not an awful lot in it, you would have thought, from the angle we saw.
It looked accidental, in fairness.
Brian Geary to take this, just outside the 65-metre line, as you can see, and there's going to be a change. Willie O'Dwyer, who hasn't really made an impact, is going to be replaced by Richie Power. So Kilkenny are forced to make 2 changes. They have a lead of, well, a fair old lead at this stage. That's 8 points the margin, and a chance for Limerick to try and eat into it, not with this particular effort by Brian Geary.
Yeah, those ones are crucial ones, Jerry. You know, Shawnee McMahon, I suppose, you know, the last great 65 taker in here in Croke Park, or long range free taker, scoring 5 or 6 in every game. You need to be putting them over against the likes of Kilkenny.
Well, 2 of the so-called impact subs have been used early on, but it is working very well for Kilkenny. They have this wonderfully gifted, wonderfully talented panel of players. Henry Shefflin protesting. And I think the linesman Michael Wadding's going to throw the ball in.
You'd have to say Limerick seem to be getting a few breaks there with frees and line balls as well. You know, they need them all at this stage.
They need absolutely everything going their way, but instead they're facing the peril of Eddie Brennan once again, slipping it inside to Derek Ling, running into a challenge there from Peter Lawler, and it's out of danger in the end by Seamus Hickey. Limerick tried to win some decent ball at the half-forward line. Hasn't been easy for them. Andrew O'Shaughnessy only 1 point so far. That was from a free. Into Donny Ryan. He hasn't got anything. Running this way and that like a rag doll, being thrust around the place, and in comes Mike Fitzgerald off his left-hand side. He fires it over. That's a good score. An awful lot of hard work was involved in that. Donny Ryan bundled around the place here, getting away from Jackie Turrell, slipping the little hand pass outside, and a good score.
Yeah, and Jerry, you have to say the Limerick half back line doing very well. 4 points from play there. Sean O'Connor and Mike Fitz a point each, and Ollie with 2 points. And they're really, even though Kilkenny are catching some good ball, they're causing problems.
First score in 8 minutes for Limerick. Would you be concerned about the lack of scoring from Shaughnessy, Begley and Ryan? The goal threat, there's none so far.
Shaughnessy's not getting the ball, and now Donny Ryan is way out the field here again now. But Turrell is a big day player too, outstanding last year's final. He's doing well on Shaughnessy.
That's a great catch by Owen Larkin. Makes it look effortless. That is superb. 4 points for Owen Larkin from 4 shots, and Peter Lawler is going to have to really tighten the screw on him very, very quickly.
Yeah, brilliant catcher. But Larkin has been doing this for the last maybe 3 years with James Stephens, and I just had a feeling coming into the final that there's a huge game in him, and he's absolutely destroying Peter Lawler. And Mark Reardon's on the bench. You'd expect him maybe to be coming in soon.
Well, Larkin is a model of consistency this year. Kilkenny couldn't hold on to it. Eddie Brennan, the one who let it slip. Seamus Hickey, the player who's down, and the referee showing the notebook there to Richie Power, ticking him for that. Shake of the head by another man who's a student teacher over in St. Pat's in Drumcondra, and that time it was a frontal charge. That's why the referee decided to issue the notebook. Wasn't shoulder to shoulder, has to be.
Yeah, there wasn't much in it though. You know, he must have got hit awkwardly because he's down with the injury, but people talked about Limerick's physicality and, passion coming into it, but you can see it in the Kilkenny players. They're chasing impacts. It's the way they always play, and it's what makes the likes of Shefflin so great, is that, he tackles and works so hard for the team. See Richie Powder, he's just after coming in very disappointed not to start, and, you're not going to walk out past him either.
Well, Richie Bennis pacing up and down the sideline. His young 19-year-old quarterback. He's got a clip to the ear, he's got a dig to the chest as well.
Yeah, and Eddie Brendan's got 1-2 as well off him. It's a baptism of fire, but he's a great young player, so he's 19 years of age.
Sun in the eyes of the Kilkenny backs, the Limerick forwards as well, struggling to take it. Comes out towards Donny Ryan, and Mike Fitzgerald in there in the thick of all of that. And the referee again is going to throw it in. Can't blame the surface this year. It's a very, very good playing surface at Croke Park. We have had the rain I mentioned during the minor match, first half of. So it's a little bit greasy, as Tommy Walsh has started brilliantly. This time he is held in possession. It's a tough call. Not an awful lot he could have done about that. He was fairly well bottled up, but the referee giving the free to Limerick. Nice handy one, I'm sure they will feel.
Yeah, Tommy picked it up in a forest of players as usual, and trying to burst his way out. He wasn't fouled, he was well held up, but to give a free against him, I think is harsh, and I think Limerick have got the benefit of the doubt with a few of those since it started again.
And O'Shaughnessy puts it over the bar, raises another white flag. The margin now is 7 points. They need a big showing from Andrew O'Shaughnessy, the young army man. But 4 minutes to go to half-time. I would anticipate another 2 minutes of injury time to be played. The injury to Noel Hickey went off with a hamstring. As last year's man of the match has it, Aidan Fogarty. Well blocked. Richie Power. Back again. Eddie Brennan ominously inside. Dropped there by Owen Larkin. Comes out once again. Martin Comerford this time. And looking for something. Getting nothing. The referee keeps the whistle in his hand passed out by Damien Rail, and Limerick breathe a sigh of relief. Pressure on the Kilkenny half-backs again. It bounces off O'Shaughnessy's hands. Comes instead there to John Tennyson, the substitute. Outside here as far as Jackie Turrell. Looking around, nobody near him, can place this one. 2 against 1, however, and the one might get it. Aidan Fogarty does so. Trying to take it around Stephen Lucy. Lucy getting back, goal side. Fogarty still. Was there a push? The referee says no. Play on. Comes out to Brian Geary. Challenged there by Martin Comerford, gets it away down the field. Coming towards it is Ollie Moran, racing forward. JJ Delaney is after him, trying to go inside. Ollie Moran letting fly. Listen to the roar. Limerick fans very, very happy with that effort by Ollie Moran. It's his 3rd point, and the gap is down to 6 once again.
Brilliant score by Ollie Moran, but you have to say it was Martin Comerford was fouled up in the square, dragged down by Mark Foley, and then Stephen Lucy went straight over Aidan Fogarty's back. And you have to be fair, just because Kilkenny are 6 or 7 points up, still, if it's a free, it's a free. The ref can't, it's not the ref's job to keep Limerick in the game.
Correct. That time it's Seamus Hickey. Strong, sturdy stuff coming in from Kilkenny. That's Eddie Brennan looking to add to his own personal tally. The umpires have a little look and say, yes, it's a good point. A goal and 3 by Eddie Brennan, and some of the Kilkenny forwards are absolutely destroying Limerick when given decent possession. 4 shots at the target for Eddie Brennan, a goal and 3 points out of the tally of 2 goals and 9.
Yeah, and Limerick supporters not happy there with Seamus. He's a young player, he's only 19. The physical demands are just huge. Like, it's a huge step up for him, and he's getting hit hard. And obviously Kilkenny have, they have, not saying they've any physical approach, but they have definitely identified him.
This is what happened to him again here. Henry Shefflin coming across, really knocking him off his stride.
Yeah, and the fair shoulder and their legs got tangled. I think that's why the Limerick crowd are upset, and Hickey's not happy either.
There's always this argument about promoting lads out of minor, 19-year-olds into the senior team. It's a much, much different game.
It is, but he's been outstanding this year. Tommy Walsh has done it, DJ did it, Brian Whelan, Johnny Louis, lots of lads have done it in the past.
Here comes O'Shaughnessy to try and win this, breaking it. Mike O'Brien trying to take it. Coming around there, this is Mike Fitzgerald running into Henry Shefflin. O'Shaughnessy has it, but he's right in the middle of the field. Inside towards Donny Ryan. Ryan trying to turn his man, who is Michael Kavanagh. Still Mike Fitzgerald, this time taking on another opponent, Brian Hogan, and Brian Hogan rolls it up onto the stick confidently and sweeps it away out of defence. Strong, sturdy stuff by Kilkenny. Broken back into the centre of the park. Here's O'Shaughnessy once again. And O'Shaughnessy's come very, very deep indeed. and you'll wonder how much damage he can do to Kilkenny out around the centre of the field. His only scores so far this afternoon have been from 2 pointed frees, and Limerick requiring attention for Mike Fitzgerald once again. Mike from Doon.
Yeah, he got hit hard. Brian Hogan coming out, looked to me shoulder to shoulder, tough stuff. The Limerick crowd aren't happy with it, but it looked a very fair shoulder. This is a big free now for Brian Geary. If he can get it back to 6 points coming up to half time, having been 9 points down. Just watch Fitzgerald out going through here, and Hogan just comes in there shoulder to shoulder.
It was shoulder to shoulder.
Oh yeah, nothing wrong with it, John.
Brian Geary to take this, centre of the park. We'll be looking out to see how much time is to be added on. And that is going left, and a missed opportunity. 5 wides for Limerick. They had the worst possible starts. Two minutes of additional time, and that I think is just about right. The injury time for Noel Hickey in particular, and that's out over the sideline. That's going to be a line ball. It really is tough, ferocious stuff if you're a young cornerback like Seamus Hickey, but he's settling to the task, got in his shoulder that time. Sent Eddie Brennan out over the line. Mark Foley ready to take this. Limerick behind by 7. Kilkenny with Richie Power here, having had much the better of it for most of the first half. Henry Shefflin couldn't get it by Peter Lawler. Derek Ling in a bit of trouble there. Lawler coming forward. Picked up here by Tommy Walsh. Running into O'Shaughnessy's shoulder. Outside again towards Jackie Tyrrell, last year's captain. All the way forward there. Eddie Brennan in there to challenge. No, Seamus Hickey. And Shefflin could well be in a little bit of difficulty as well, injury-wise, out on the 65-metre line. Kilkenny effectively down to 14 right now as we watch Cha Fitzpatrick. The angle shot across here. Lovely take here by Owen Larkin. Larkin raiding again. Oh, he was trying to link up with the other man with the green helmet, who is Eddie Brennan. He might have taken the score himself. Instead, it's Tommy Welch coming, hitting, and firing it over the bar. Great point by Tommy Welch. Of course, he played in All-Ireland finals up on the forward, so adding to his impressive tally.
Yeah,
Noland 26 coming into this, Michael.
Yeah, he has an all-star course as a forward and a midfielder and a back, which is unparalleled, probably never be done again. But I actually think Henry Shefflin could be in a bit of serious bother here. Pure accident there. Peter Lawler just stepped on him, but he seemed to indicate straight away to the sideline that he was in. Oh no, it looks a hamstring as well. It
certainly does.
Felt his hamstring, yeah.
And they've had to change 2 players already. One by choice, one because of injury. Noel Hickey and Willie O'Dwyer from their starting 15. While we have the break here, it is interesting that his team has created 14 scoring chances, and the number of scoring chances created by Limerick, in spite of the fact that they're behind at this stage by 8 points, is exactly the same. Limerick and Kilkenny have created 14 scoring chances per team.
Yeah, the goals are the difference. I'm surprised he just didn't take him off there for a minute or two coming up to half-time and treat the injury.
Well, there's another few seconds to add on to the 2 minutes, you would think, and the referee isn't going to do so. And at the end of that first half, it's Kilkenny who are going in much the happier. They made a blistering start there. You had a goal by Eddie Brennan in the 9th minute. Henry Shefflin with a goal a minute later, adding to the scoring that they've been getting right, left and centre. They've looked impressive in the forward line. Limerick have been trying their level best to get closer to them, but it's a tall order coming into the break for both of these teams. And at half-time in this 119th Guinness All-Ireland hurling final, it is the champions who are looking good. Half-time score here, it's Kilkenny leading by 2 goals and 10 points, Limerick 8 points. We'll be back with analysis after this.
And Limerick, Kilkenny leading Limerick 2 goals and 10 points to 8 points. Take a look at the stats there. You will see in that, by the way, Kilkenny have actually conceded 10 frees. Limerick have only conceded 2, although most of the scoring and possession is with Kilkenny, obviously, after that first half. 2 yellow cards. Noel Hickey, the Kilkenny full-back, got one of those. He has since left the field injured, of course. And Brian Geary, centre-back for Limerick, is the other yellow card. Tomás Mulcahy and Cyril Farrell with me here in studio. muted applause as the teams went off the field. It said something about this. I think the Limerick faithful are beginning to lose the faith.
Well, they've been in this position before, Michael, but like Kilkenny started, as I was saying to you before, if Kilkenny start fast, Eddie Brennan started in corner forward, Willie Dwyer went wing forward, Martin Comfort went full, and Henry went centre. They switched round, and the next thing, Limerick were on the back foot. Kilkenny got the chance of no better team. Like Larkin scored 4 points, Eddie Brennan scored 1, 2 or 3, and Henry got a goal, a couple of points as well. And all of a sudden, like Limerick are playing very hard but chasing the game. But Kilkenny, every time that Limerick get a score, Kilkenny come back and get another one. Now it's up to Limerick the second half, really try to ground it down and get on top.
Limerick defence are playing out of their skins, Tomas. Nothing happening for them up front.
Yeah, but Michael, they are playing out of their skins and playing very well, but they're under severe pressure when they're clearing ball. I mean, Kilkenny have picked up some points there because of the pressure the forwards have put on the Limerick backs. Have been half clearances, half hooked, and the ball has only gone 20 yards out the field. We saw Owen Larkin, Shefflin picking up balls there that normally would have been driven 60, 70 yards down the field. And that's a credit to Kilkenny forwards, and that's a credit to Cody, because he will always say defence starts at your corner forward position, and they work their socks off. You know what I mean? Shefflin, Martin Comerford, probably not in the game as much as we expected today, but when he doesn't have the ball, he works his socks off to get the hook in, get the block, and put everybody under pressure.
We talked about Limerick needing a couple of goals in this game to be really in with a chance. It's been Kilkenny who have hit them with the 2 hammer blows in that first half.
Yeah, Eddie Brennan has great pace. Like, I know he hasn't always delivered on Iron Finals, but he's doing it today so far. Like, he's got 1-3 from play. Now this is a line ball coming in here, good line ball in, breaks around here. Well, he goes around the corner back. Look what he does here. Has a little look across, bang, left-handed, goes across. Maybe Murray is incited by Real, but like, you'd imagine he's going to tap it out. There's nowhere to go here, yet he comes right. He's been fouled there, gets in the left-handed shot, hits the ground in front of Murray, back to the net. It's the start that Limerick really needed, and it puts Limerick on the back foot straight away, and it sets up Eddie Brennan. Now he's a broad wing, he's in corner forward. Now here again, you see Kilkenny again striding forward. This is Chad Fitzpatrick, sets himself a high ball in. Now, King Henry he's in underneath this, catches this. You'd imagine he's fouled holds. Everyone thinks he's going to stop. He throws up and bangs into the back net. Doesn't give the goalie any chance to, but like,
I mean, he is fouled here when you watch it. Look, they're pulling the jersey, but look,
he holds his feet to Moss.
He does, yes, the coolness, right? I mean, he knows if he's going to throw the ball down low, there's a hook or there's a block there. Up high, batted into the net, you know, and gives the goalkeeper no chance. I mean, there's no doubt it was a penalty. I mean, if he hadn't scored it, you know, and that's the threat that's inside there all the time. They can play it high, they can play it low, you know, and we said maybe in the first half about Limerick having to play Begley inside, put it in high to him. They've done that, but he's been mastered at full-back.
We've seen what the Kilkenny forwards have done. Look at the Limerick forwards, no scores from play from the inside forwards, but in fairness to Ollie Moore, he's doing a Trojan job trying to keep them in the game.
Yeah, Michael, any chance he's got, like, you know, and he's on Brian Hogan, I know he's on Tennyson, but he's a good, any chance he's got, he's banged down. They really needed these scores. Now he's really got settled into centre forward. Here he comes on there, he's a long way out here and bang straight over the bar. He's got 2 or 3 of these in the first half, like, he's kind of kept Limerick in the game, like, when they don't look like scoring, you know, without any hesitation, you know, he's natural at this stage, and he's banging, he's really proven a turn in the Kilkenny side, because he's the only forward at the moment that's threatened. Here again now, you see him coming onto this ball here, and ball I think he's not going to win, gets thick and bang, left-handed, but one was right and over the bar again. He's the one forward that's really caused the threat to Kilkenny, because at the moment there's no other forward beating their back, really.
I mean, that's probably the strength of Kilkenny as well. When Noel Hickey had to go off, that they had Hogan to go back into centre. Like, I mean,
this is a great score from
It's a great score, absolutely on the run.
He's about 55-6 yards out here, back on the left again, and that's a great score. I thought, you know, that Jensen want to come and give him a rattle and send him into the stand, but Jensen comes across here, just misses him.
But I mean, he is the trump card for Limerick at the moment, and I mean, you'll be kind of saying to your Brian Murray, look, he is on top here in centre forward. Put it down on top of him, you know, and let the forwards come in for the break, because he is the dominant figure there at number 11.
I suppose, you know, you can say pretty much the same thing about the Kilkenny inside forwards who haven't shown much other, but looking at the 3 lads outside, I mean, Eddie Brennan, Henry Shefflin and Owen Larkin, like, Brennan has been fantastic, and Owen Larkin is picking off these points.
Michael, they put your finger on there. Every time Limerick, the likes of Moore and get the hair there in point. Larkin gets on breaks. You watch this, what's going to happen here. But of course, he's very good. Catches this here, direct straight over the bar. Like, he's a very good hurler left to right, hasn't always got the credit, prefers, let's say, himself either in full or centre forward. Look at this, catches. Now Laura's having a poor game on him so far.
I mean, should have should be a switch there, sir, because I mean, he's after getting 4 points in that first half, which is a great return. I mean, you're not seeing him on the ball all the time, but every time it goes down that side, he's causing an awful lot of damage.
We have another commercial break coming up, more right after that on today's All-Ireland Hurling Final. And who've had the distinction of captaining their counties. To tell us more, here's Marty Morrissey.
Yes, thank you very much, Michael. We're down here on the sideline in front of the Hogan stand. 2 former captains of Kilkenny and Limerick. Willie O'Connor, back in 2000 you won the All-Ireland. It looks like you're going to do it again.
Yeah, we started off great there, but I don't think Limerick didn't come out of the blocks as quick as they should have. terrible idea to puck the first ball down on top of Tommy Welch, who probably at the moment is the best hurler in the country. Next ball went down on top of JJ Delaney, he caught it as well. If anything, if Kilkenny had a weakness in their half backline, it was probably down the centre. And Ollie Morton, who was playing exceptional this year, maybe that was where the first ball should have went.
But you're dominant in two crucial areas, half back line, half forward line.
Yeah, we are. The Limerick half back line, it seems to be playing too far out the field. They're really isolating their full back line inside, and that's where the 2 goals came from.
Let me move on to Kieran Carey, Limerick captain 1996. Are you worried at half-time? Not a good start, but you're still only 8 points down.
We are, Marty. It could be a lot worse. You know, Kilkenny got off the blocks extremely quick. They were like a team going for the first All-Ireland, you know, and up to the usual tricks, coming for it, and Shefflin changed, and Willie O'Dwyer and Brennan changed. And but I'm playing the game long enough. I know my heart and soul. It's now in the dressing room where games are won and lost. So please God, Limerick will get it right in there at half-time.
As I said to Willie, half back line and half forward line seem to be your problems.
Yeah, Kilkenny half-back line without a doubt is dominant. Brian Geary is possibly giving Shefflin us that much too much room. But, you know, they can address that now, Marty, but our forwards will have to work a lot more harder. They'll have to tie the Kilkenny backs down, and please God, with a bit of luck, just keep clipping away at the points. You know, we came back a few times already this year, so there is heart in this team, you know.
Well, Kieran Carey, obviously you remain faithful to Limerick. Willie O'Connor and Kieran, thank you very much for joining us. That's the views of the captains. Let's go back to Michael.
Yeah, there's no doubt there is great heart in this Limerick team. They're trying their best out there. But gentlemen, it is 2-10 to 8 points. That's an 8-point gap. I'm finding it difficult to see Limerick making it up.
What Limerick really need at this stage is a goal to get back in the game, to ignite the crowd. Cody's men have got to start. They're muted the crowd. There's a fantastic support from Limerick. They need a goal to lift them.
But then
now, they're 8 points up tomorrow, and Kilkenny will tap away the whole day and win the game, I think.
But simply won't win them. They simply won't win the match at this stage, right? I mean, Limerick have used 27 players in the championship to date, right? Some guys are not performing out there. In the past, when they weren't performing, they were with the side and there was new guys and they freshened it up big time. Look what's happened in the first half. Richie Power into the fray after 20 minutes. Yeah. Willie Dwyer wasn't delivering, right? Now people will say Richie can't start because he maybe gets a bit too nervous before games and stuff like that. But like, what a player to bring on. Some guys not performing, you bring him on and ups the ante again big time as well. Limerick, as Sarah said, certainly need to take this game to Kilkenny at the start of the second half. 1 or 2 points. Referee, maybe a couple of decisions referee-wise has gone against Kilkenny as well, you know. And I mean, Limerick have to throw the kitchen sink at them in this half.
There will be one little boost for Limerick coming up in the second half. Henry Shefflin is not restarted for the second half of Kilkenny. Looked like he got a bang in the thigh there.
He got a knee into the thigh. It was an accident. He's a dead leg. But like again, you see, as Tomas said, no sympathy here. I expect the likes of either Comfort or Owen Larkin or Gwyn centre forward, and you'll have another forward coming on again. Like,
that's a big blow. That's a big blow. That's a big boost for Limerick. It's a big boost for Limerick, you know.
Limerick need to still have to get a goal.
I mean, they get themselves back into the game. Get 2 or 3 points after half time without Kilkenny scoring. They're back in 5 points down. We've seen what has happened in the past with Limerick. 10 points down before against Tipperary. They can come back.
Michael Finlay is in. Let's go back to the big match commentary. We rejoin Joe Canning and Michael Dignan.
Henry is having to sit it out, as you just saw there in that quick little shot in the stands. Michael Fennelly is in, so too is Niall Moran in the yellow helmet. There he is, having come into midfield as partner with Donald O'Grady and a substitute for Mike O'Brien. So it's an attendance of 82,127 watching as Limerick have to try and eat their way back into this Kilkenny lead, and it's not going to be easy. Jackie Tyrrell, champions, will be absolutely focused to maintain their advantage. Brian Cody will have laid down the law to somebody like Aidan Fogarty and to Martin Comerford as well. I think you can be sure to get more into it. Damien Rail getting out with that ball. He's foul as the ball comes away. We've had 2 yellow cards. One you may remember on the park, Brian Geary, and the other was dished out to Noel Hickey as he was leaving the action. And straight away here, Cha Fitzpatrick has been spoken to. And there you are, another yellow card, a second for a Kilkenny player.
Jerry, I don't think you can underestimate the loss of, Shefflin and Noel Hickey are 2 of the great players in the game. They're just not 2 ordinary players. They're 2 of the top players probably we've ever seen in the game of hurling, and 2 of Kilkenny greats. And it has to give Limerick heart. If they get the first couple of scores of the second half, missing players like that is going to run through the Kilkenny team. It's going to affect them.
Having said that, if Limerick were to come back from 8 points adrift at half-time playing against the champions, it would be some recovery.
It would. It'd be a bit of a miracle, but they have happened before. But I'm just saying, Shefflin is a huge loss. He's a leader, and Hickey is on the other end of the field. This is a big one now for Shocks.
He's got 2 in the first half from the middle of the park. Needs to be accurate, and it is. Very good piece of judgment. So, a tonic start for Limerick to the second half.
Jerry, you'd wonder, there was 2 frees from that area in the first half, and Brian Geary took them and kind of lobbed them. You'd wonder why Shocks is not coming out and striking them.
That might have been a change in the plan for the second 35 minutes.
Yeah, and he's out in the wing as well now on JJ Delaney, hoping to get him into the game more.
Geary had missed 2 long-range frees during the first half. Aidan Fogarty out over the sideline. Line ball once again to the Shannon Siders. The men from the Treaty City there. And it's going to be Peter Lawler who will take this. In front of the watchful eye there of Brian Cody. One of the most successful managers just after for the Tommy Marr ever for Kilkenny. There's Niall Moran. Second shot by Limerick in the half. And the second point. Maybe the recovery is starting. Kilkenny minus the inspiration of Henry Shefflin and Noel Hickey at this stage. Watching as Niall Moran gets it on the right-hand side and drives it a good 50 metres over the bar. All of a sudden 6 between them.
Yeah, great score by Niall Moran. And he's that type of player. He's capable of scoring 3-4 points and a half, and sometimes he can be out of game, so that's going to give him the world of confidence as well.
Referee to throw the ball in once more. Niall Moran going in there with Richie Power. 2 substitutes. That's Shawnee O'Connor out as far as Mark Foley. This is collected here by John Tennyson. Back down once again towards the inside forwards. Brian Geary looking for a support player. That's Seamus Hickey. Up towards Ollie Moran, misses it. Runs on towards Mike Fitzgerald instead. JJ Delaney stays off him. Tantalising ball in. Gathered in well by PJ Ryan. Hand passed outside to Jackie Tyrrell. Way down into the inside forwards once again towards Martin Comerford. And looking for a much better second half. Dragged around. Wins the first free for Kilkenny in this half. And a chance for them to get a point on the board immediately, just to remind Limerick of who have been the masters so far in this All-Ireland final.
Yeah, and Martin Comfort, quiet first half by his standards, but he'll know he has to step up to the mark, with Shefflin particularly gone, and Comfort has been outstanding in the All-Ireland finals over the last 7-8 years, and great ball for him to win there now again.
An easy one, you would think, for Richie Power. And it is an easy one. First of the day. So Limerick got 2 points at the start, and now Kilkenny with their first point of the half as well. And it's 2-11 for Kilkenny, 10 points for Limerick. Brian Murray directing his puck out straight down the middle. Donny Ryan and Ollie Moran coming to challenge that time. But it's Michael Fennelly, the substitute at half-time, who wins possession. Let's go down to the sideline for some news. Marty Morrissey.
Thanks a million, Chair. Just a word on the Kilkenny injury at half-time. Not good, I'm afraid. I was talking to Pat Dunphy, the County Secretary, and there is a suspicion that Henry Shefflin's injury is cruciate, and that would be a huge blow, not alone to Henry Shefflin personally, but indeed to Kilkenny for some time.
Absolutely. Thank you, Marty. Shaw Fitzpatrick. They look at it inside. The umpires have a good view as well, and it's gone wide. Shaw hasn't scored so far in this match. Young Player of the Year last year. He's won just about every honour. Hard to come back to that level, that standard, the year afterwards, but he's done pretty well.
Yeah, that's terrible news about Shefflin. Such an innocuous challenge, and we wish him well. Hopefully he won't be out for too long.
Well, it's a horrible injury. Niall Moran coming in. John Tennyson getting the ball away. Collected here by Brian Geary. Back defiantly once again into his forwards. Brian Begley coming, motioning towards it, getting it, breaking it down for Ollie Moran. Staying on his feet, running into the challenge of Tommy Welch. Trying to dish the ball out, but he only gives it to Shaw Fitzpatrick. And Fitzpatrick has options, and they get the ball away. Down the field once again. Bit of holding in there. The referee's about 40 metres away, but spotted it. And Brian Geary in some difficulty there, doing the marking job. He's been yellow carded from the first half, so he has to be really, really careful. He's after, it's a ticking this time for Stephen Lucy. Free to Kilkenny. Richie Power got the last one. This is a good deal further out, just outside the 45-metre line, however, but should be pretty routine by Richie Power's standards. There's the angle, straight as a die. 2 from 2 for Richie Power. Young Kilkenny fans delighted, spotting themselves up on the big screens. And so as you were at half-time, Kilkenny once again 8 points to the good. Mark Foley collecting that short puck out. And he hits it too far, and there was nothing that Shaughnessy could do about it. Limerick's game plan is not working. They got a wretched start. Every time you go out against Kilkenny, you say to the team opposing them, don't give away an early goal to the Cats. Happened in the Leinster final. Richie Power is certain to have said that. But they've been a bit disjointed. The gaps between half-back and full-back. You would have thought that Limerick would have contracted the play into the centre. Kilkenny now trying to open it out to the wings again, where they're gaining an advantage. Larkin, dispossessed, still in play. Rail keeping it in. Kilkenny eagerly going back for it again. Taken up this time by Martin Comerford. Dropped inside to a dangerous and waiting player. That was Aidan Fogarty, but it's stopped by Brian Murray and away by the goalkeeper. Down the centre. John Tennyson rises. That's a great catch by Tennyson. He's a terrific centre half back. Joe Fitzpatrick to Richie Power. Motoring well. Oh, good little challenge that time by Donny Ryan, who's out around the middle of the park as a third midfielder. Here's Michael Fennelly, hooked by Donny Ryan. Back out again once more. Here's an opportunity. Chaw's hitting it, and that ball has gone to the right, and it's gone wide.
Yeah, and that's great defending by Limerick, and that's what they need, disciplined defending. Like, they gave away 2 frees there, got back to 6 points. They can't do that against Kilkenny, but that's great tackling there. Peter Lawler, Donny Ryan helping out there, and Mark Foley all working hard there.
Well, the spirit is willing, no doubt about that. Let's see if the flesh can actually produce the winning performance. This is towards Mike Fitzgerald. Beats him. John Tennyson. Snappily back. Only as far as Peter Lawler. Nobody on him. Up as far as Ollie Moran. Lobbed in. Should be Michael Cavanagh. Is aware of the would-be hoop that time from Shawnee O'Connor. Got it out as far as Joe Fitzpatrick. Dodging around Niall Moran. Has a support player outside. That support player is Tommy Walsh. Lobbing it, trying to measure it into the inside forwards. Comerford comes, takes it down. Lucy trying to get that ball away. Still Lucy, did well. Up as far as Mark Foley. Foley tigerishly taken away. Foul there by Richie Power, and that's going to be a free to Limerick. Kilkenny are going to give them absolutely nothing lightly. They were expecting Limerick to come out full blast for the second half, but they're trying to bottle up the half-backs, the full-backs, anybody at all. They're going to give absolutely nothing easily or lightly. Yeah. This is a championship the Cats want to win.
Just a little
big time.
Shefflin and Andrew Shaughnessy now tied on 48 points each for the championship. Obviously Henry is gone now, so Shaughnessy just needs one more score to be this year's top scorer in the championship.
Indeed. Jackie Turrell fouled. Donny Ryan is in the middle of the park. He's as a third midfielder. Nobody's gone out to mark him, so he has a lot of freedom. Shawnee O'Connor been taken off as we watch this in reprise once again. James O'Brien, tall figure, the number 22 from Brewery, the county champions, coming on in place of Shawnee O'Connor. Hit down once again, taken by Owen Larkin. 4 points in the first half. It was a very good return, not a good return that time, however. Just put under a little bit of pressure. Just got the feeling Limerick came into the match too nervous, too tense, hoping to do their bit for the fans who'd come here in their thousands, but Brian Cody's team, well focused, well drilled. They've been through it all before. John Tennyson coming up, but this time it's caught brilliantly by Ollie Moran off his left-hand side. Inside towards Brian Begley, needs to break or two, a ball or two. And he breaks it as far as Michael Kavanagh, and they work it out to Tommy Walsh. Inside towards Eddie Brennan, what a catch! And Brennan is off once again, like a man in an egg and spoon race. Taken down and off he goes once again, and the referee blows his whistle somewhat belatedly, having given Brennan the benefit of the doubt. It's got to be a free in for Kilkenny.
Yeah, this man is on fire today. What a catch. And the minute he gets it in, he's on the ground, he's heading for the goals. In full flight, he's a brilliant player, and just seeing there straight down the middle, and he's fouled here by Stephen Lucy coming across. Great play there by Eddie Brennan.
So up steps Richie Power once again.
Yeah, but the high ball is not working, into Begley. That's their only tactic, puck it in high, and they're over pucking it or under pucking it. And Brian Hogan is 6'5", he's not going to be caught on too many high balls. They have to start trying to play shots into the game.
Bit of variety needed. Nothing varied about the way Richie hits them straight over the bar, effortlessly. Good striker. and it's 2-13 to 10 points. And it's more or less what an awful lot of people felt in the build-up to this final, that Kilkenny were going to have too much for Limerick. Damien Rail in towards Begley again, runs on this time to Wally Moran. They need a goal, and he's got it! In the 47th minute, exactly what the game has required. The margin is down to 6 points again, and Ollie Moran, who's been playing for Limerick for 10 years, in there at the end of this. Begley may have just got a touch to it. Moran was anticipating, and that was a rasping shot and a brilliant finish. Wonderful goal by Ollie Moran. That's exactly what we've required here. His 5th ever goal in the championship. But what a goal, and what a time to get it.
Yeah, Gerard, brilliant anticipation. You can see him looking when the high ball's coming in. He knew there was space behind. He took the chance, and he has been the one Limerick player who's really taken the game to Kilkenny. And 1-3 now. He's made sure of his all-star. Can he bring Limerick back into the game?
If that doesn't lift them, nothing will. Derek Ling, however, and conversely, it could well be that Kilkenny will take their signal from that to up the ante even more. Owen Larkin hasn't scored in the second half, bundled over there, and the referee blows his whistle. And the Riro and Ruila Buila continues over on the far side. And Limerick fans are jubilant at this particular stage. A bit premature, but at least they're now getting their money's worth, or at least that's what they would think.
Yeah.
This was the shot again. As it crashes into the back of the net, Richie Bennett was thinking about a change, and he's about to bring on Pat Tobin, and Mike Fitzgerald from Doon is going off. Here comes Donny Ryan. There may have been people from Limerick thinking about going for their cars. Not just yet. There's still a match to be determined and a final to be won. Jackie Tyrrell way down the field. Hickey's under it. Brilliantly taken. Now he's growing of age and coming more and more into the game. Limerick with another free.
Gerard, one thing that can't be questioned is Limerick's heart. There were 9 points down after 10 minutes, 2-3 to no score. They came back to 6 points and came back to 6 again and went 9 down and back to 6 again now. And they can't be questioned, but they need to keep their heads now, keep the ball in play, don't do anything stupid, and make Kilkenny work for it.
Well, if the fans could do it, they would. They're trying their best as Mark Foley floats it in. Begley is going for it. So too is Pat Tobin. Tobin, the latest to come off the line of substitutes, and back helping out Cha Fitzpatrick. Big one down to the centre of the park. One here by Richie Power. Kilkenny will hope to stay nice and cool, nice and calm, while retaining their sense of determination. That runs away to Stephen Lucy, chased by Owen Larkin. Mark Foley keeps it in play, settles himself, lobs it forward again, drives it to the right. Wasted opportunity, and really he should have played it in a little bit lower, a bit shorter. He has to give the inside forwards a better chance.
Yeah, it's got to 6 points. They need to get to 5 or 4, and that's twice Mark Foley now in the second half. He's playing very well, so you have to use that ball and keep it in play. I just get the feeling Kilkenny are gone a bit lackadaisical. They're tipping around up front, but they don't look like. I think they're there for the taking. If they can get another couple of scores.
Richie Power back out to Tommy Walsh. He got a point earlier on, and Tommy Walsh has got another. A most amazing player, comfortable in so many different positions, winner of an All-Star as a half-back, midfielder, half-forward. Look, nobody on him, just settled his feet, good wrists, good hands, great fluency.
Brilliant score, Jeremy. Richie Power dropped his hurl in the build-up to it. I think he should have been a free the other way.
Donny Ryan is still out around the middle of the park as a third midfielder. Jackie Tyrrell, left corner back, angling this one across. Taken by Fogarty when it might have run on to Eddie Brennan, and it's won by Damien Rail for Limerick. Big one forward towards Pat Tobin once again. He catches a beauty ahead of Michael Kavanagh and then runs into Tommy Welch, and the referee blows his whistle. Now, was it accidental? Because when he turned into Tommy Welch, I'm not sure that Tommy, or indeed the Limerick player, knew an awful lot about it. But the referee has signalled a free into Limerick, and they'll take anything that is going. Was the stick a little bit loose?
I don't think it's a good tackle. Comes in and goes for the ball. Came down his shoulder, okay, but he was going for the ball.
Well, what the referee saw was the stick coming down on the shoulder, Michael.
Pat Tobin made the most, and he did well. He did what he had to do.
Andrew O'Shaughnessy, 3 points. Bad angle for him, but he's done really well. And it's a 4th point for O'Shaughnessy. All of the scores coming from frees, and the margin is still 6 points.
50 minutes gone, no score from the Limerick full forward line, which is, at this level you need scores from your inside line, and I think that, they'll need another goal.
Tony Ryan, back, collecting, foraging, running into Michael Fennelly, and he, under pressure, gives the ball away to Derek Ling, the man from Emeralds in Erlingford. Good ball inside, putting a bit of pressure on. Comes out to Damien Rail. Loose ball, only as far as James Fitzpatrick from 45 metres out, and that is over. Great score by Cha. Kilkenny fans much happier now, having made a very good recovery following that Ollie Moran goal after 47 minutes. Really good strike by the midfielder.
Yeah, he's a class player, and watch him now coming more into the game as it loosens up. He could end up with 2 or 3 more scores.
Again, ball being overhit into the Kilkenny inside line, and the back sweeping it up, and Jackie Turrell sending it back down again. Aidan Fogarty this time, and he's got a point. Last year's man of the match with 1-3, a point this afternoon, but all of a sudden they have blown out a decent margin of 8 points once again, as you were at half-time. Well, now, is Richie any more answers, you would wonder, because like a magician, he has produced rabbits out of hats all through the championship. Needs another rabbit or two. Are there any more tricks? Niall Moran, he was one of the substitutes brought on. Back out here to Donal O'Grady. He's got a point earlier on, and he's got another one here. Good score by Donal O'Grady. One of the unsung heroes in this Limerick team, from Niall Moran's hand pass, beat the block and took his chance really well.
Yeah, he's been very, very effective today and all through the season. As you say, a very underrated player, but had a better maybe Derek Ling in the first half, and doing very well now in the second half on Michael Fennelly.
Well, have Limerick flattered only to deceive? Can they get back in, as you said earlier, Michael? Can they bring that lead down to 5, maybe 4 points? Mark Foley would like to think so. It's 2 against 1 because Donny Ryan's out of position, and hitting that ball in means that Jackie Turrell is mopping it up. Under a bit of pressure now from Begley, and the referee gives Limerick another free from just around 20 metres out. Those balls going in there, you would think, are misdirected, but somehow they've worked out.
Jackie Turrell was too casual there, though. Ger won the ball and had loads of time to get it away, and I think he just threw it out and outside him, and that's what the free was given for.
The frees awarded so far, Michael, are interesting. 15 frees have been awarded to Limerick, only 5 to Kilkenny.
Yeah, well, it was 10-2 at half-time, and I think in fairness in the second half, I think the decisions have been mainly right, but I thought in the first half certainly Kilkenny were hard done by on 3 or 4 occasions.
It's Andrew O'Shaughnessy who will take it. You'd never think about a goal from this angle, would he?
Well, he has a rocket of a shot, maybe it'd be worth going for like Johnny Dooley in '94.
He's going to have a go, and it's saved! And it's saved brilliantly, and I think it's JJ Delaney. It is JJ. Got to stick to it. Wonderful stop. That would have brought Limerick right back into it again. But Kilkenny are defiant, ruthlessly efficient as ever, wonderfully skillful. O'Shaughnessy's drive from the 20-metre line, deflected out by the number 7. A wonderful save.
Yeah,
they were willing it in.
It was a great shot, Ger, and he was right to, I think he was right to go for it. Like, he has a 65 now. If he scores this, it's the same difference.
Little or no breeze around today, and O'Shaughnessy puts it to the left. And the minutes are counting down. There are 21 minutes gone in the second half, and that's a total of 8 wides so far for Limerick. The mist is coming in from the bay in the distance, I can tell you. Prodded on by Derek Ling, on as far as Martin Comerford, hasn't scored today. Again, Fitzpatrick bursting forward. Derek Ling, he'd love to score also. And Derek Ling has put it to the left-hand side. He was challenged late, by the way, after he played that ball away. No free given. Let's watch it again here. He was coming in and there was a little push. There you go. Referee didn't take any action. Kilkenny would have certain thoughts in their own head about the way the game is developing and frees being awarded and so on. Tony Ryan fouled in possession, some 30 metres out from goal. That time it's Jackie Tyrrell, the guilty party. Jackie, one of those players to have captained All-Ireland senior and under-21 teams, as O'Shaughnessy puts this one over the bar. No fuss, no great difficulty either. His 5th point of the match.
Yeah, and Limerick are gone orthodox now. Donny Ryan has gone back in from the third midfielder. I think that's the way you have to play Kilkenny.
There was nothing gained by him being out in the centre.
No, you have to play Kilkenny under merits. You know, going out the field is fine. You'll win a bit of loose ball, but you won't make any impact inside.
Not alone has he got it inside forward. He's gone off. He's been taken off and replaced now by Kevin Tobin. So 29 is on. The two Tobins in to lend their considerable experience.
But Jerry, you hear a lot about maybe out physical Kilkenny and all that. You have to go out and out hurling man for man in each position. If you want to beat Kilkenny, that's all you can do, and that's what you have to do if you're going to beat them.
And that's what Tommy Walsh is doing, exactly as you say it there.
Go out and play every ball in its merits and play your man.
Good play. Back in again towards Pat Tobin, but again it is Michael Kavanagh this time. John Fitzpatrick now. Should be and is Mark Foley's, and he lets it slip down. Derek Ling in to help out. Here comes Pat Tobin into the inside forward line once again. They look for some breaks. Kevin Tobin unable to take it. Instead it is Michael Fennelly from his own 45-metre line. And Kilkenny and their fans will feel that a large part of the job has now been done, and it's just a case of hanging on in there with about 11 and a half minutes still to go, and the title should be theirs. Well, the referee's been busy throwing the ball in. By our calculations, that's the 5th time he's had to throw the ball in. And Stephen Lucy coming out. Hands and knees job by Stephen. So, referee called into action again. The referee, of course, Diarmuid Kerwin from Cork, and his dad, Jerry, refereed the 1988 final between Galway and Tipperary. Looking on, no doubt, as that ball is given away hopelessly by Niall Moran to Tommy Walsh. And that's an awful ball from Tommy Welch, an untypical error. And it's back into the mix once again in there. Brian Begley hasn't scored in this game. Michael Kavanagh, wonderful play by Kavanagh, playing in his 8th All-Ireland final. He's won 4 so far, looking to win a 5th this afternoon. Niall Moran, there looked to be a drag back there and a foul. No free given. Pressure on. Shaughnessy there. Kicking. Saved. And it's gone out over the end line. It's a 65. And Andrew O'Shaughnessy auditioning for the Limerick football team, taking his chance. This is where he lost the stick, had to let fly, and a good stop just before it could reach the goalkeeper.
Jackie Tyrrell blocked it, and Shocks did well, but to me there was another blatant free out the field there. Char Fitzpatrick, or was it Richie Power, held back out the field, and
should have been a free at that.
It should have been a free, yeah. Like that's, I think that's 2 or 3 crucial ones, and Limerick have scored a couple of times as a result of that.
Andrew O'Shaughnessy now taking this latest free. Richie Bennis watching the rain descending once again. They need to maintain their charge and hope for the best, and that's what Andrew O'Shaughnessy is doing. You never know. It's down to a 5-point game. It's as tight as it's been for some time.
Well, since the first 5 minutes, Gerard, that's what they need, and they need to knock on another one now fairly quickly. They're playing well, they're not giving up, and they're making Kilkenny work all the way.
Plus injury time, you would imagine there's going to be about 12 minutes of hurling left. Michael Fennelly doesn't know where the ball's gone. Limerick have it, and they have it back once again there to Kevin Tobin and PJ Ryan, very secure, playing in his first final, did well. Away there by Brian Hogan, now at full back, remember. Difficulty there for JJ Delaney keeping it in play, and the linesman has been waving his flag. Did the ball go over?
No.
That's the crucial thing.
I don't think so. It was on the line now. Everything is going Limerick's way, and they have to make the most of it.
Barry Kelly is the linesman. Once again, that ball was... The whole of the ball was hardly over, but Barry Kelly decided it was, and that ball from the resultant piece of action has gone wide. Niall Moran the one with the opportunity, and some of the fans making their way off Well, it is very, very damp, and they're getting wet, and they're probably reckoning it's Kilkenny's. Still 8 minutes to go.
A lot can happen in 8 minutes. Sure, this game is not over at all yet.
This is Niall Moran once again, keeping it away from Owen Larkin, who hasn't scored in the second half. Eddie Brennan had a very good first half. We haven't seen a lot of him either. We've seen plenty of Richie Power, mostly from frees, now from play, and that is a beauty. 4 shots for Richie Power, the first 3 from frees, this from play. Little hand pass delivered to him by Derek Ling, set up on a plate for him. Beautiful strike.
Yeah, that's a big difference today. Kilkenny seem to get these scores a little bit easier. You know, Limerick have to work so hard for every score. That's a beautiful point. Great teamwork there.
One they needed as well, I think, Michael. The first score in 9 minutes. Begley knocking it into space. Really, they're hit and hoping at this stage. PJ Ryan, the craftier Kilkenny, holding the aces in key positions. Limerick are willing, but there's a certain amount of disjointed play.
Yeah, there is, but Kilkenny have needed Michael Kavanagh to me, been absolutely outstanding. His experience has been vital at cornerback. You know, they're a little bit disjointed themselves, Kilkenny, and doing a few uncharacteristic things.
Niall Moran driving it in, and he's put the ball wide. Well, they always say if you're gonna have a go, make sure you put it over the bar.
Yeah.
Brian Cody would look to have masterminded another Kilkenny victory.
Yeah, I think when Limerick look back on this, you know, if they go on to lose it, a lot of silly ball into their full forward line. You know, they're giving them no chance to play in front of their men.
Oh, Michael Fennelly there contesting with Donal O'Grady, and it's Niall Moran again. He's giving it everything, but will it stay in play? It will, and O'Shaughnessy couldn't quite prod it home. It was a teasing ball in there. One for O'Shaughnessy just to get it early to and knock it away past PJ Ryan.
I don't know what was Anthony Daly called them lotto balls earlier on in the year, you know, like they're Hail Mary balls, pucking them in, hoping for the best all the time. You have to have options to your game. There's no point pucking every ball in. The odd one is grand, but you know, I think that's 5 or 6 in this game that have really gone astray.
Here's Eddie Brennan. Great first half. That sails over again. Beautiful strike. Excellent score by Eddie Brennan. A goal and 4 points. 5 shots he's taken. Watch him again here. And that's right over the bar. 5 from 5.
I think Kilkenny have been guilty in the second half of not playing him enough. You know, really, I think that's the first ball that's come in front of him in the second half.
That's JJ Delaney. Jackie Tyrrell breaks away off Richie Power's stick. Coming in for it, Damien Rail couldn't quite keep it in play. I'd sacked it's Stephen Lucy who was going for it. Line ball to Kilkenny. A Kilkenny side having to play the second half without Henry Shefflin. A lot of the game without Noel Hickey. Various other changes been contemplated, but they hold the aces. They're 7 points in front. Just over 5 minutes to go. Brian Geary has lost his stick. Have Limerick lost their way? Was that out over the sideline from Derek Ling? Line ball to Limerick. Well, I remember Tom Ryan, the Limerick manager, saying after 1996 when they lost to Wexford, we had a lot of chances that day, but we just didn't take them.
Yeah, I think a lot of credit to the Kilkenny full backline. You know, they've been outstanding. Michael Kavanagh and Brian Hogan since he went back there, Hickey before that, and Jackie Tyrrell. No score from play from the Limerick full forward line, you know, which says a bit about the supply, but also a lot about Kilkenny's defence.
Kilkenny taking care with every pass out of defence to Eddie Brennan, who takes maximum care as well, but might have needed an extra second or two. The angle was a tight one for him. First miss of the day for Eddie Brennan, one of the game's stars. Brian Murray beaten twice in the first 10 minutes. The most horrible start. And after that, Limerick were always playing catch-up. Never really had a decent enough chance. Got it back to 5 minutes, about 5 minutes ago. Still they battle, still they try. Tommy Walsh now. Eddie Brennan holding onto it well. Lovely little hand pass down towards Martin Comerford. First touch, second touch. Oh, then runs into the shoulder of Peter Lawler, trying to get the ball away. Comerford persistent, hasn't scored in the match, having a go. And it lands just to the right-hand side. 8 wides for Kilkenny this afternoon. No points for Martin Comerford. Just one of those days, but he'll end up, you imagine, with an All-Ireland medal. Well, it's turned into another miserable day on All-Ireland final day for Limerick, it seems, with 7 points between them. And Peter Lawler now requiring the attention of the physio, Barry Heffernan. Losing in the final to Kilkenny back in 1974, a long time ago. Then losing in more recent years again on a few occasions. Gary Kirby just helping Peter Lawler off. Mark O'Riordan will come on to replace him. Well, to give Peter Lawler a good deal of credit, he was up against a bang-in form Owen Larkin in the first half, and Larkin got him for 4 points. Lawler caught a couple of really good balls in the air. He came back, he added his commendable strength and talent to this Limerick effort this year, and they've done well. They've come from a position where they hadn't won a championship match for about 6 seasons, beat Tipperary, lost in the Munster final, but got it all together again in the All-Ireland series, and they've reached a final that very, very few people thought was likely back at the very beginning of the summer. Kilkenny were always the favourites, and they've justified that favouritism. Tommy Walsh lobbing it down, picking out Aidan Fogarty, being marked by Damien Rail. Back to Richie Power once again in the 68th minute. Another wasted opportunity. Limerick, it appears, have managed to get to within 5 points at one stage, but unable to get the better of Brian Cody's team. They were overdriving the ball from half-back and midfield from a number of promising situations and giving the inside line very few goal-scoring chances. The best of the goal-scoring chances came from the 20-metre free from Andrew O'Shaughnessy, which was saved on the line by JJ Delaney. It's like a maze. Eventually emerging from that maze, Pat Tobin. Michael Kavanagh, tidy as ever. All the way back down. Stephen Lucy, needing a second chance. Ball slippery, ground is slippery. Again, it's Mark Foley. John Fitzpatrick going back to try and help out. There as well is John Tennyson. Terrific dominant figure at centre half back for much of this game. Here's Aidan Fogarty. Difficult one for Richie Power initially to take. Now nobody near him. Quick look at the target from near the sideline. Willing it over the bar, but he doesn't quite have the legs for that.
Yeah, Kilkenny have a lot of wides in the second half.
2 minutes of additional time will be played.
Yeah, Kilkenny have a lot. You know, the gas thing about it is Kilkenny haven't been at their best. You know, they've done enough to play within themselves, and like losing Noel Hickey and Henry Shefflin, still been very comfortable in the game, and it says a lot about them. They're one of the great teams. I think, you know, they came back, lost a couple of All-Irelands, Cork won for 3 in a row. Now they've come out and won 2 themselves, and they've been on the road since '99. A lot of them, and they're, you know, outstanding team.
Well, together with Cork, they have fairly well dominated the last 8-9 years, with one very significant break, of course, for Tipperary in 2001. So we're almost at the end of the 2007 championship. Andrew O'Shaughnessy in added time. Lets it high and lets it over the bar. 7 points his tally. But the margin is still a margin of 6 points. And it's been on or about 5 or 6 for so much of the second half. Kilkenny always able to keep Limerick at arm's length. PJ Ryan won 3 All-Ireland medals as substitute to James McGarry before this, but he'll be so delighted to have overcome injury in recent weeks with a wrist injury and played in the final. John Tennyson. 1 more minute of stoppage time to be played. Stephen Lucy back there. Oh, missed by James O'Brien. Back by Tommy Walsh. Owen Larkin putting in the challenge. Lucy coming away with it. That's Donal O'Grady. Free taken quickly. Lashed all the way in towards Ollie Moran, one of Limerick's stars today. O'Shaughnessy looking for a late goal, trying to burst his way through, appealing to the referee. Kilkenny standing firm, no way through. Still they persist, and in the end it is JJ Delaney brilliantly away, the left half back. out there as far as Eddie Brennan, takes it on his hands and knees and steals away once again. Only about 20 seconds to go of the All-Ireland final, and Eddie Brennan isn't finished yet. Limerick would appear to be finished now, however, and Brian Cody there with the county chairman Ned Quinn saluting yet another score. Again the pressure on for a late consolation goal. Jackie Tyrrell, the captain in 2006, another All-Ireland medal winner in 2007. The referee's calling for the ball and it's all over, and Kilkenny have retained their crown. They have won their 30th All-Ireland, and Brian Cody's team, a team of champions, the All-Ireland hurling champions, with Henry Shefflin the captain, the winners in 2007. Deservedly so. Limerick did their level best, but it wasn't to be. Kilkenny had a wonderful start, but heartbreak for all of these Limerick players. Damien Rail and all of the rest of them gave their very best effort. James O'Brien, so many others. You have to think of Ollie Moran, a man who finished with a goal and 3 points and finished on the beaten team. But Brian Cody has done it once again. 7th time he has taken a side to the All-Ireland final, and they are champions once again. They are some team. Any team to win an All-Ireland is a good team, and Richie Bennis did all of that a long time ago. He knows that any team that retains the title deserves to be rated a great team, and Kilkenny are a great team.
They are a great team, Ger, and today it was all about their backline. They were outstanding. Owen Larkin in the first half, 4 points, but Eddie Brennan, what a game he had, 1-5, but really their backline today were dominant, their full backline in particular. And Michael Kavanagh has been around for a long time, don't like singling anyone out, but his 9 Leinster medals, I hurled against him many times. He lost his place a couple of years ago and he came back and he epitomised what Kilkenny hurling is all about, a cool, calm, collected, and absolutely outstanding, along with Jackie Tyrrell and all the rest of the backline and Tennyson coming on. But what an achievement by Kilkenny, and I'm glad to see the stewards have got a bit of sense. I thought for a minute nobody was going to come out in the field, but they were being blocked down at the gates, and at least there was a few crushes going on, and they've got out now, and great to see.
Well, I can only hope that cup there, which Henry Shefflin is going to receive from another Kilkenny man, Nicky Brennan, any moment now, I can only hope that the injury that Henry sustained just before half-time is not as serious as was being mentioned during this afternoon, that it could be a cruciate, because he would be out of the game for quite a while if that is the case. What a setting. Let's go down to Marty.
Thank you, Ger. Brian Cody, congratulations first of all, guiding Kilkenny to your 5th All-Ireland title on a personal level. The word awesome comes to my vocabulary. How would you describe this performance?
It was one of our greatest ever wins. I mean, Noel Hickey went off injured early in the game. Hickey is a phenomenal player for us. And then to go in at half-time and discover that Henry Shefflin couldn't play the whole second half would have killed many teams, just about every team, I'd say. But I mean, we've been stressing all the time about the strength of the panel and the inspiration that Henry and Noel gave in the dressing room at half-time. And as well as that, I mean, we had so many reasons to win this game. I mean, this All-Ireland final is without a shadow of a doubt dedicated to James and Darren McGarry and Vanessa. It's the tragedy that struck the whole camp during the year can never be forgotten, and we won't ever be forgotten. But it was a cause for us, because James McGarry was such an inspiration to us all his hurling career, and this year probably more than ever. And for Darren and James, we had to deliver this All-Ireland final.
Well, we share those thoughts with you indeed, and James is a friend of all of us. But on this performance, I mean, you really started so brilliantly. Was that the key?
No, I mean, every team wants to start brilliantly if you can at all, but we got early scores. Limerick got them the last day, we got them today. And obviously it's a push in there, no matter how well you play after that, the other team, we're still playing catch up, and I suppose that was the situation. But, it was a backs to the wall job for the second half. We had to rejig the team, we had to readjust, we had to move players around. Players that weren't as familiar in all places they might be at all times. But hurling is about character, it's about guts, it's about genuineness and honesty, and we have it in abundance.
We understand what the motivation obviously was to win this All-Ireland, but at half-time you've lost Noel, you've lost Henry. What do you do? Most other counties would have collapsed.
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't collapse. I mean, everybody wanted to win it for Henry and actually for Noel, but I mean, Henry and Noel wanted them to win it for themselves. I mean, they've adorned the game for years. I mean, you don't, Henry and all, they're just our superb players, but you know, we're a team, we're a panel, we're close, we're together, we have spirit, and it came shining through.
In terms of Limerick, they've come a long journey. Any words for them, Brian?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Limerick have had a phenomenal year. That's no good to them today. I mean, they've lost the All-Ireland final, and that's a horrible feeling. But I mean, Limerick have come in a position at the start of the year where nobody expected them to be here. They were here. And I mean, we had to hurl really, really well to win the All-Ireland final. Limerick are a top-class hurling county, always have been. And I mean, this can only be the start of something great for Limerick.
Brian Cody, congratulations again. Well done. Congratulations to Kilkenny. Back to you, Ger.
Thanks indeed, Marty, and a stirring few words there from Brian Cody, speaking from the heart about just how much this has meant. And we got a shot there of James McGarry and young Dara as well, and they've made their way up along the steps with Henry Shefflin to receive the cup. There's Dara, and now Nicky Brennan.
Our son, Diageo Guinness, I was coming low class Gael, but while I'm Fáilte, gan Slowmore, the Parker Croke, gan Trána na Shaw. Agus Fáilte specialte, the Michael McAmedes, agus the Dino Guinness, agus Fáilte specialte, don the Dina Galair Sawalia, a talk faking there in Telefish, agus the Dina Galair, are folding down, a talk faking there in Clehe New. But while I'm a weakest and Goyern, as up on Sar Clehe Dimmersheed and Newey Park and Croke. Cogardicus Freshen, the Minuri, Tibberadorn, Avoan Kate Cleha. Cobron Donna Himrory Olimni. Vi Anna Blin Egon Fern, August Elaine Dout Knock Bake Shiverash on Blin Shockhoin. Cogardicus Special to the Kilkenny, Orawan Ella is far on Fern is far satir. I want to congratulate both teams on a fantastic game. And to Limerick, you have lost nothing by losing today. You have given immense pride and joy to your county and to hurling in general. I want to say well done to all the players, to Richie Bennis and his backroom team for the wonderful year you have given us, and you can stand proud this evening that you played a great part in a wonderful hurling year. I want to congratulate Kilkenny. Once again, the cream of the crop, without doubt the greatest team around at the moment. And well done to Kilkenny, to Henry Shefflin, to Brian Cody, and all involved with the team. This has been a year of immense difficulty for Kilkenny. And there's one man here beside me that I know, we're so glad he's here with his young son, and that's James McGarry. I want to thank the hurling and the GA people of Ireland for the support they gave James and his family when he experienced such tragic circumstances. James, we were all with you then and we're with you today, and I know the people of Limerick are also with you today. Agus a Corja Nish is more than privileged on Cordan O'Brona, our captain Kilkenny, Henry Shefflin.
One Kilkenny man to another. And the Liam McCarthy Cup is going back to Kilkenny, the champions for the 30th time. Henry, Dara and James and all Kilkenny are celebrating. What a day for them. They win by 219 to 115. A wonderful day for Brian Cody.
Arútán Mahéran an Taoiseach agus Arútán Cumann Luke Lascéin. Tá an áilsóran an Corran Seán Leacha as fearr Kilkenny! Since I've been a little boy in Ballyhale, I've dreamed of one day doing this. And it's just a privilege for me to be standing here collecting this cup on behalf of the 34 players and management here today with us. So thanks very much, lads, and thanks to all our supporters. As I said, there's a lot of people behind this, so I just want to thank our backroom staff, our dietitians, physios, trainers, doctors, and our kit man, Dennis Rocker Cody. So thanks very much for everyone that has done any work behind the scenes. Thank you. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Avonmore and Glanbia. They've been with us in the last couple of years, and that we've looked for, we've got. So thanks very much for them, and to Guinness, the sponsors of the Hurling Championship. I suppose in Kilkenny, we're very lucky that we have a county board behind us in Pat Dunphy and Ned Quinn driving the helm. Unfortunately, they're finished this year, but they've been absolutely brilliant to us since they came in. And I'd just like to say, lads, you've led us to a successful period and left Kilkenny hurling in a great state. So thanks very much to the county board. I suppose I'd like to thank our two selectors, Martin Fogarty, primary school teacher, and Mick Dempsey, the publican. I said their application because they seem to do nothing else, only be selectors with the Kilkenny hurling team. But I'd just like to say thanks very much for all the effort and the work you put in behind the scenes and the long hours in Langtons with Mr. Cody. I suppose the next man I'm going to speak about is the reason why any of us are up here collecting our Ireland Cups. It's Mr. Brian Cody. There's a lot of things said about great managers and this and that. Brian does nothing, he just does the job. And it's absolutely brilliant, and it's been a privilege for each and every one of us to work with you, Brian. And long may it continue, so thanks very much for all your efforts. I suppose today is a great day of celebration, but unfortunately it's touched with a lot of sadness involved in the Kilkenny panel. James McGarry and Darren McGarry lost Vanessa McGarry tragically in a road accident recently. And I just want to say that James, the reason that we're here today with this Liam McCarthy Cup is because of you and you only. James has no all-stars at home, but to us people in Kilkenny, he's the biggest star of us all, so thanks very much, James, for everything you've done for us. And I'd just like to say that unfortunately Vanessa wasn't here today with us in body, but she's here in spirit, and she's here watching over us, and this cup is dedicated to Vanessa McGarry. I'd just like to thank and a special word for the Limerick hurling panel and I suppose their supporters as well. It's been an absolutely brilliant summer, and lads, you've been the most important part of it. You've had a brilliant year, and to reach the All-Ireland final is a great testament to yourself for the heart and the courage and the work you've shown. And even today you kept on going until the last minute. Unfortunately, I've been here myself on the losing occasion, and it's never easy, but I know it makes it all the sweeter when you come back and win one. So I just keep saying to the Limerick players and the supporters, just keep going and you get there, there's no doubt about that. I'd like 3 cheers for Limerick. Hip hip! Hip hip! Hip hip! And lastly, I'd just like to say, I stood up here in '99 in my first All-Ireland final, a wet day, and unfortunately I was on the losing end. But 25,000 people turned up in Kilkenny that Monday night to welcome us home. So thanks very much for all the support around the years. I look forward to seeing you in the county tomorrow night.
Well, that was absolutely brilliant there on the part of Henry Shefflin. Didn't forget anybody. And he was certainly a star all through the season.
And Ger, I think isn't it wonderful the way he thought of Vanessa McGarry. At the end of the day, hurling is a sport, but it's real life that he talked about. I think that's fantastic.
And the family of the GAA and of hurling in particular is so important. So Kilkenny are the champions yet again. All the various substitutes who played their part at some point or other. James McGarry lifting the cup now. Man who kept the opponents scoreless in 3 finals. Unique achievement that. And the others coming up as well to share the moment. A panel of 34 in all. James Fitzpatrick, one of those going up without the yellow helmet. And a massive throng of Kilkenny followers who no doubt will be down in Kilkenny City tomorrow night when that McCarthy Cup makes its by now familiar journey back there. Limerick gave as good as they possibly could, but they were up against the champions, stirring champions in 2006 and retaining their title in 2007.
Yeah, Jaron, it's very hard on Limerick, you know, up there in '94, and you know we had a great finish at Offaly against them that year. Came back in '96 to avenge that, and everyone thought they'd beat Wexford, and they didn't. The great Wexford team, and back here again now, and you know they really have great supporters. I used to say it about the Wexford supporters; they're fantastic, but the Limerick supporters are real, true hurling people, and you feel for all them. But there can only be one winner, and you know Kilkenny were. You know, today we're the better team, but Limerick have to, like Waterford, they have to put the shoulder to the wheel and not give up, and that's what makes hurling great. They have to say we're going to come back here and win All-Ireland someday.
Okay, so on this September afternoon, it's Kilkenny were the champions, winning by 7 points. Full-time score, Kilkenny 2 goals and 19 points. Limerick 1 goal and 15. Let's have the final word on this now with Michael.
Chair Canning, Michael Duigan, thank you very much indeed. So a day of great celebration for Kilkenny and a day also, as you could see, of powerful emotion too. Sarah Farr, Tomas McCahey here with me in studio. Another milestone for Kilkenny, Tomas, another incentive for next year.
Come on, Tomas, get the Corkins out, Tomas.
Well, we've done it in the past, but maybe they're a super team, you know. 30 titles now, the same as Cork, and I mean, I'm sure Brian Cody won't be going anywhere this year. He'll be back at the helm again to lead a charge again for 3 in a row, you know, and I'm sure that will be in his mind and that will be in his ambition now going forward as well. But you have to say they deserved it at the end of the day, you know. They probably didn't have the most polished second half. I mean, probably the cushion of 8 points up was a big tonic to them, losing Henry Shefflin in a half-time and losing Noel Hickey as well, because like there was a second half period there when Limerick did come back, get it back to 5 points. A ball that broke to Andrew O'Shaughnessy there, if he had a hurley in his hand, was buried in the back of the net, the ball that he kicked, and they needed a break like that, Limerick. They needed to get the goal, and when it came Ollie Moore, and I mean, it was probably a bit too late at that stage, you know, but I mean, you give credit to Kilkenny, complacency, no such word down Kilkenny way, unfortunately.
No, there isn't. I mean, Limerick went into this game as the underdogs. They knew what they were up against. In fairness to them, Cyril, I felt that they tried their hardest, but it just wasn't good enough.
They fought hard, but like if you meet a team that is as good as you and as committed as you and a better skill, they're going to win. Like Kilkenny, you have to give them credit, Michael. They are the best team in Ireland for the last years by far. You look at the backs today, like you know the Lewis Hickey was having a great game full back. Hogan was back full back. Tinnis comes on. They knit as a unit. Tommy Welch always brilliant, but like Jackie Tyrrell hadn't a good game against Wexford. Today comes out a fantastic game. Up front,
today,
like Eddie Brennan today stood up to the plate. He always played well in games, but the big day he never really happened to shine. Today he gets 1-4 from play. Larkin gets a few early on. Like they're all over the place. And as Tomas says, maybe not flying that much in the second half, but like they were up 8 points at half time and they won by 7. We were kind of hoping that Limerick could do something to get the game back in, but when the goal came, it was a bit late. But like you always felt you were looking at hope for Limerick to do things, but you felt that Kilkenny were always going to win it.
Yeah. Okay, we take a commercial break. Analysis on the 2007 All-Ireland hurling final.
Captain Cup to the Winners' Hotel tonight. A very warm welcome to the Sunday game on the night of the All-Ireland Senior Hurling Championship Final. And it's a fine night indeed if you're a Kilkenny supporter after their splendid victory today by 7 points in the final against Limerick. We'll be going over shortly to the victorious Team Hotel to join in the celebrations. We'll be looking back at a memorable season of hurling as well. And of course, we'll be analysing today's final with our experts here in the studio. Anthony Daly, Michael Dignan and Pete Finnerty. Gentlemen, you're all very welcome. Anthony, I'm not too sure whether a lot of bookies play hurling, but I got this one right. The shock was never on the cards.
They did, Pat. I suppose great victory for Kilkenny and continuing on their fantastic era that they're having at the moment, and fair play to them. Best team in the country and proven as such. The problem was we were all being asked for predictions and our outcomes all the week, and we all got it fairly right. That was the problem with it. It just was a little bit predictable on the day, and they just hit them for the early burst and kind of seemed to hold it all the way to that and just played with, showed their class all the way through.
Come here, Pete, you wouldn't want to have to be a rocket scientist to predict Kilkenny victory today. Fella said to me this morning, he says, Kilkenny don't do complacency.
No, they don't, and you can't give Kilkenny, who are All-Ireland champions, 10 points of a lead and expect to claw them back. And even though they lost Henry Shefflin and Hickey, they still showed great leadership throughout the field. At half-time they had 2 10 scored, which would nearly win any match. And you felt, even though Limerick brought them back to 5 points in the second half, you always felt that Kilkenny were still hurling within themselves. They played fantastically throughout the field, and like every time, the likes of JJ Delaney came up with a huge performance again. The players that were quiet all year came good when they were needed, and we'd all say that Henry is the main man, but today they lost him at half-time and they still went on and won the All-Ireland comfortably.
And yet, Michael, you said in your commentary today that Kilkenny weren't even at their best, and yet they still won handy.
Yeah, well, I think they played within themselves, and I think they've been doing that all year. But I think it's a sign of the great team they are, and let's face it, 5 All-Irelands this decade. Henry Shefflin, one of the greatest players we'll ever see, captain of an Ireland winning team today, and Brian Cody, one of the greatest managers the game's ever seen, and they're at their pinnacle. They're a fantastic team. The likes of Tommy Walsh, Noel Hickey, Martin Comerford, they are players that will hold their own in any era. And, I think credit where credit is due. We're always trying to talk up the underdogs, whether it be Limerick this year or Waterford, earlier on. We're hoping for a change, but it's not Kilkenny's fault. They've set the bar at the very highest level, and they've played to that week in, week out, year in, year out. And, fair play, well done to them. And hard luck on Limerick, it's disappointing for them.
It's a fair point by Michael, because this time last year, prior to the All-Ireland, it was all about Cork's 3 in a row, yet Kilkenny won the double last year. They beat everything in sight. Their winning margin was 10 points this year. Do critics or experts give Kilkenny the credit they deserve, lads?
Well, it's a tough, maybe we don't, Pat, at times, but maybe it's just because they're not involved in the Munster Championship, and the Munster Championship was so spectacular this year. It captured the imagination, and everybody was talking about it, big write-ups in the papers. We're talking about it here, and they're gliding away through, beating everybody by at least 10 points. But come tonight, we're giving them fair credit. They're the champions, no doubt about it, and they deserve to be totally. They've beaten everything that's been put in front of them out of sight, and they're deserved champions.
So there's more credit to come, Pete. We've got to go over to the hotel in a second. There's more credit to come?
Yeah, just a little bit.
OK, time to pay our first visit to the winning Team Hotel at City West and all the happy Kilkenny campers. Here's Michael Lester.
All right, well, Pat, here at the City West Hotel, the All-Ireland Winners' Banquet, as you can hear, is in full swing here tonight. Well, the Kilkenny players, their families and supporters are here to enjoy the fruits of their success, and we indeed are here to celebrate with them. Joining me right now here at our presentation area, we have the Kilkenny manager, Brian Cody, and the winning captain, Henry Shefflin. Gentlemen, you're very welcome indeed. Brian, we have known for a number of years now that this is a great team, but it's victories like today, it's winning All-Irelands, that I suppose in a kind of way it puts the official stamp, if you like, on the greatness of this team.
Yeah, I think that's a fair comment, Michael. We have had good success over the past few years, and in that time we have had some terrific players, and different players have come up trumps on different days, but I think today was a test of real character, a test of real commitment, determination, everything. We lost 2 phenomenal players in Noel and Henry. Losing Noel early in the game was a killer blow. John went in, replaced him, and Brian moved back, and then to go in at half-time and discover Henry was gone. It would break the heart of any team. It tested our resolve, it tested the panel's resolve, it tested everything about the team. But I was still confident at half-time because I would have tremendous regard and tremendous absolute respect for everybody there, and I knew we had a strong panel, and we still came out and we fought a good fight.
Limerick to me today, they played with all their hearts and they still couldn't get near enough to you.
Yeah, Limerick played with everything today, you know, they were rocked. I mean, the start they got the last day against Waterford, they would have loved to get it again today, but we got that start. And, you know, I think got into a 10-point lead or something like that. And no matter how well they were going to play, to claw that back was going to be very, very difficult. They would have to play very, very well over a sustained period of time to claw that back. And, you know, they were playing catch-up, really, and we were always going to tap on a few more points at different stages in the game to give us that advantage, you know, and it mattered very much.
Well, Henry, you have All-Ireland medals in your pocket already, you have All-Star awards, but I suppose something special today for you to walk up the steps of the Hogan stand as the Kilkenny captain, or to be more fair about it, you hobbled up the steps today. How's the leg, by the way?
The leg is not too bad. I suppose I would have went up by stretcher. I didn't mind once I was able to get my hands in the cup. And, I'm sure the leg will be fine in a couple of hours' time anyway, so we'll be able to party on, as they say.
Henry, most teams face huge challenges on the field and they face adversity on the field. You alluded in your speech today that a huge challenge that this panel had to face during the summer for different reasons, and you spoke very fluently about that.
Yeah, I suppose, but to be fair, it wasn't the panel of players that suffered, you know. To be fair, James and Dara and Vanessa's family and James's family and everyone involved in the tragic accident suffered. We don't honestly know. You know, it lands on our doorstep, all right. Yeah. We can only feel a certain extent, but to be fair, you know, James is putting life, his soul into hurling, and as I said, he hasn't got any All-Stars award, but he's our #1 All-Star, and we said at the beginning of this year, basically, after the accident, you know, we said to ourselves, and I think every player in the panel and the management team, no one went out and said, we're going to win this one for Vanessa, but I think every one of us inside us said that to each other, and I'm just delighted that we did it today for Vanessa.
Okay, well, fair play. Thanks for that. There is, Brian, one other element to today's way that I want to bring up with you. You're obviously very proud of these lads. You're also very defensive of them, and especially if you feel somebody has been critical of them maybe. I heard you on the radio this evening on Brian Carty's programme. You mentioned some of that criticism. You mentioned one Gerlach Nan, whom you know and have soldiered with. You obviously felt strongly enough to make the comments you made.
Yeah, I did. I didn't say them lightly. You know, I mean, I know Ger for a long time, obviously. Yeah. And Ger has been an analyst on your own programme for quite a number of years now, and he has never said anything of the same tenor that he has been saying for the past few weeks about our team. He praised them very, 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 very often. And he took up the Galway job then, and suddenly he started calling us a dirty team. And I didn't hear it yesterday, but I'm told that he was on radio again yesterday, and he re-emphasised that and meant it so far as to say that, you know, something's going to have to be done about it, it's going to have to be looked into, and that, like. I think that's terribly wrong, you know, because I think our team is respected far and wide. I think every opponent who plays against our team respects us for what we are. Yeah. We don't win all the time. We have a We don't win all the time. We have a decent record, thanks be to God, and we greatly appreciate that. But you fight a good fight, and when we lose, we take our beating very, very well. And I think that's well known as well. And I think it's very, very wrong of Gerlach Nan, a player who would have been stood in great state in Kilkenny and in all hurling counties, to come out of that kind of absolutely unwarranted, unfair and untruthful criticism against the Kilkenny hurling team.
All right, Brian, well, you said it fair and you said it straight. Thank you very much indeed for your comments. Normally, I would ask Brian Cody if he was going to retire after all this. I'm not going to even ask because it's a big issue between Cork and Kilkenny, the number of All-Irelands for next year. I know you're going to be there next year. Ladies and gentlemen, Brian Cody and Henry Shefflin, thank you very much. All right then, we're going to have plenty more from the City West later in the programme, but for the moment we're going to hand you back to Pat, who is in the studio.
Thank you, Michael. We'll be discussing those Gerlach Nan comments, I'm sure, later on in the programme. Okay, so time... Well, can I say the great man Ger has been in touch with the programme, and his statement is as follows. After beating Antrim, Ger was saying that there would be no comparison between the intensity of that game and the intensity of the game they were playing the following Sunday against the All-Ireland champions. He continued by saying, as well as being the most skillful team, Kilkenny have become the hardest team in the past 2 years in this country. And when they do hit you and you're not ready, they hurt you. In relation to Kilkenny's tapping and the legality of it, he replied, every great team in every sport will indeed push the rules to the absolute limit, which indeed makes them great. Ger finished by saying he'd love to have somebody say that about a team he was training. Well, lads?
So he was actually praising Kilkenny.
He was actually praising Kilkenny.
So Brian has got it all wrong.
Right.
Like, I think the biggest problem with it, Pat, was, and the point Brian made maybe, was that Joe was a Sunday game analyst for a good few years, and he, you know, would have commented an awful lot on Kilkenny, and I don't remember him commenting on the physical side of their play. It was mostly all praise and how brilliant they were, and I think that's the problem Brian had with it tonight.
I played against Kilkenny for a long time, maybe more so even than the lads for many years, and they're a tough team, there's no doubt about that, and they hit hard, but they're very, very fair. I thought the most silly thing that Ger said was about this, to come in and tapping on your hands, and that's absolutely nonsense. You know, it's bull, and they don't do it. They play hard, and they play very hard at times, but like that's what it's all about. And Pete talked about them winning high balls. They don't win balls in there because they're afraid. They're tough, hard men. They go for the ball. They play a tough game. And, you know, Ger doesn't make too many mistakes. He was saying that he was trying to rile them for the match against himself. That's all it was. And it didn't work.
He tried to rile them against Galway, and unfortunately he upset Kilkenny and they took it out on Galway.
Yeah, they did, yeah, but they were a better team than Galway. It wasn't that alone that beat Galway. And Ger has this habit of riling. He did the same thing with Clare. You know, my father had a great saying. He says, a big mouth was good for cooling soup. You know.
Well, fair enough. Okay, time to hand back to Michael. So after all that, lads, John Loughnane is actually praising the Kilkenny senior hurling team. Over to you, Michael.
Thanks very much, Pat, and I can assure you they appreciate the praise here at the City West Hotel as well. Okay, then here at the winners' banquet, I'm joined by Kilkenny midfielder Derek Ling and full forward Martin Comerford. Gentlemen, very welcome indeed. I suppose it's fair to say, Derek, that this afternoon out there from 3:30 to about 20 to 4, you guys got the start that Limerick would have dreamed of getting.
Yeah, I suppose it's fair to say we had a great start. Eddie and Henry getting the goals, and I suppose we were able to keep Limerick at arm's length there for a while, and it gave us a cushion going into the second half and that, and I suppose we needed that, losing Henry and Noel at half time. But you know, the boys fought hard and we fought well, and we were able to kind of see through in the end anyway.
You think about these games, you plan for the games, you decide on your tactics. Was this the way you decided to play it today, to try and crush Limerick early on, to not let them get that kind of start?
Well, like we saw the last day what Limerick can do, and they had a great win over Waterford, and like we were under no illusions coming up here today. So I suppose, you know, we're well tuned going into the match, and I suppose we're ready for a battle. And lucky enough, we were the ones that got the breaks at the start. And like when you have Eddie and Henry around, they took their chances, and you know. So
the one thing I suppose, Martin, that you must have been fearing, that a lot of people were fearing for Kilkenny going into this match, was because you were being written up as such hot favourites, that you might just be a bit complacent. There was no sign of that.
No, we've been training very hard at home in Nolan Park there, and the hits have been very hard, and you know, we have a great panel here. Yeah. We have a great panel of players at the moment, you know, and it's great for Kilkenny hurling to have such great young players coming through. We've had great success in minor under 21 age level for the last few years, and those guys are coming through now, and it's, you know, they're putting pressure on the so-called elder statesmen of the team at the moment. So you know, it's great for Kilkenny at the moment.
Derek, I suppose when you win as much as you lads have over the last couple of years, you know, people think, well, maybe they won't have the incentive to go and do it again next year. But now it's Cork and yourselves have been tipping away the number of All-Ireland titles won, 30 and so forth. There must be a great incentive for next year.
Yeah, well, I suppose there is, you know. I mean, like we've a great spirit in our panel, and we all love playing hurling. And I mean, when you get the two that combined, it can bring you a long way, you know. And I mean, it's great to be going in there training every night in Nolan Park and be part of it. And you know, we'll rock on next year when it comes around again.
Well, I suppose lads, we'll worry about that some other time, but for tonight you're going to enjoy this success. Thanks very much indeed to Derek and to Martin. Thanks, lads. Well done. Okay then, we have some more people to meet here at the winners' banquet, so let me hand you down into the body of the function room to join Marty Morrissey.
Thank you very much, Michael. Yes, joining me is one of the heroes of the All-Ireland winning side and one of the most popular at 22 years of age, winning his second All-Ireland medal this afternoon, James Cha Fitzpatrick. Well done, James. Was it as tough, was it as physical as what you were expecting today?
Yeah, Limerick really put up to us today. I know we got a great start with the goals and all that. Limerick kept fighting all day, you know, and I suppose we're just delighted to come out on top in the end.
On a personal level, it's been a busy couple of weeks because local sources tell me that you're now officially an uncle for the first time.
Yeah, I suppose. Sister had a baby girl there last couple of weeks. I don't. She could be here. I'm not even sure now. She's there somewhere. That's them, I'd say. I suppose it's something different, all right. You know, it's a bit of a change from the hurling, being an uncle.
Well done, and congratulations today, and thank you very much for joining us here at the City West Hotel. That's it for the moment here at the banquet. We'll go back for the moment, back to the studio in Dublin 4, and back to Pat Spillane.
Thank you, Marty. Very good. Time for us to take a short break. We'll be back in a moment with reaction from deep in the heart of Kilkenny on the day they recaptured the Lee McCarthy Cup.
They are the best team in Ireland, and we knew coming up they're going to be hard to beat. And the one thing we didn't want to happened was to give away 2 early goals, and from there on we were playing to catch up. There was a difference in the end of the day.
You seem to have problems in the half-forward line and in the half-back line at various times.
Yes, at various times we seem to be Kilkenny dominated their half-back line and they dominated their half-forward line at stages when they wanted to, whereas we were kind of labouring the whole time.
What did you say to them at half-time?
We didn't have to say much to them because they know what they had to do. They've been there 2 or 3 times this year already, and they know they had to wake up and go back to what we kind of planned at the beginning of the match, and they kind of they did well in the second half, we must admit, you know, even coming from behind.
Let me bring in your nephew, Gary Kirby. It's been an amazing journey when you consider that you hadn't won a Munster Championship game in 6 years, and here you are in an All-Ireland final. Will that in some way compensate for the defeat?
No, not at this stage of one, Marty, to be honest, but we came up here to win it. We felt we were good enough to win it. We were gutted as it is. I definitely agree we didn't perform the way we could perform. There's definitely more in the lads out there. While we had a good year, I suppose, to get to Ireland final, we still ended up winning nothing. And at the end of the day, we need to start winning things, and it's disappointing, I'll be honest. But there is a bonus of a great squad out there, and there's no reason why these bunch of lads cannot come back again.
ESB, the Chief Executive.
Well, congratulations, Brendan. Great game and well done.
Well done, Brendan. All-Ireland champion once again, 2 years in a row. How does it feel?
Unbelievable. We had a tough task coming up here today. I think Cork were kind of out to get us after the Munster final, but thankfully all our hard work was paid out today, and another All-Ireland in the pocket. It's nice feeling.
Well done to Brendan. Now, time to go back to the Winners' Hotel and see how Michael Lester's getting on. Michael, are the celebrations going well?
Well, Pat, I can tell you that everybody here at the bank are in the best of form, and most certainly so is Kilkenny's right half-back, Tommy Walsh, who joins us now. Tommy, you're very welcome indeed, and congratulations to you. One little question I have to ask Tommy. Normally we see the distinctive red helmet coming flying out of the defence and beating up the field today. No helmet today, why?
Oh no, it was fierce warm when I went down the field and the dressing room beforehand, so I didn't want to get tired there in the first 10 or 15 minutes, so I just left it off.
Well, it was obviously very warm for the Kilkenny players and for the Limerick players during that first opening sequence of play. You got off to a flying start.
Yeah, we did. We got off to a great start. Two of the boys, Henry and Eddie, banged in a few goals. It was a dream start, you know. Yeah. It was the start we wanted. And I suppose for the rest of the match, Limerick were trying to peg it back. And in fairness to them, they put up a great fight like we knew they would, because they're doing it all year. They did it against Tip. And we knew that they brought fierce physical element to the match. And I suppose trying to match that is what we were trying to do. And luckily enough, we held out in the end.
Because in fairness to them, even though they were struggling, you got that good start to the game. You know, they hurled out their skins. They did the best they could do.
They did. They gave it absolutely everything. Like ourselves, Like I suppose, as Brian Cody says there himself, the great thing we pride ourselves on is spirit and great heart. And today the panel, it was all about the panel. You seen Tennyson coming in, you seen Brian Hogan going back full back. It was all about the panel today, like Richie Mullally's doing it there all year in training. It's absolutely brilliant and we're delighted for the panel.
Noel, Celtic crosses, new cars, will you not give somebody else a chance?
I know, not for another while, Joanne. We'll keep it going. I mean, we kind of started off there in January, we kind of, you know, everyone got stuck into it after the holiday in New Zealand, and we just said we'd give it our all for a year, and whatever happened, and luckily enough, we ended up here on the first Sunday of September, and we got the cup again, so we're happy enough.
Well, we know you didn't get to finish the game today. When you're playing in an All-Ireland final and you feel the hamstring go, what goes through your head?
Yeah, it was a bit of a disappointment, all right, when I went, and I just kind of knew it was gone, but, you know, in saying that, I knew Tennyson was there, ready to go, and, you know, it all went happily enough, you know, Hoagie sloshed back in full back.
Start off.
Goalie.
Difficult enough to pick. I suppose Dan destroyed so many goalkeepers' hopes for this position, and this goalkeeper didn't play in front of Dan all year. We picked Damien Fitzhenry. I know Kilkenny people will be saying, PJ Ryan, when is he going to be like the previous goalkeeper, never getting an All-Star? But he has such a strong defence in front of him that we don't see much of him. Don Lowe had a good year as well. But I think Fitzhenry, he conceded no goal in the Leinster final against Kilkenny. He was incredible against Tipperary, and later on
he conceded 5 goals in the Leinster Championship, 3 against Dublin, 2 against Kilkenny.
He did, yeah.
You're hard on Kilkenny. Kilkenny goalies have to do an awful lot of work.
We don't see anything of them, you see. When you have Hickey in front of you and you have men like Turrell the other side and Kavanagh the other side, we see so little of them, don't you know, and probably last year we were criticised for not picking them. But we don't.
Henry, the full back line, Michael Kavanagh, Stephen Lucy and Jackie Tittle. The half back line, Tommy Walsh, Ken McGrath and Tony Brown. At centre field, Michael Brick, Walsh, Chad Fitzpatrick. The half forward line, Big Dan, Ollie Morden and Owen Larkin. And the full forward line, Andrew O'Shaughnessy, Henry Shefflin and Eddie Brennan. No one from Tipperary, no one from Cork, and Richie will be delighted because he had 4 Watford. Lads, in one word, player of the year. Michael?
Dan Shanahan.
Dan Shanahan.
Dan Shanahan.
Oh God save us, we have to head back to this. We have to head back to the City West. Again, the boys choose that. Back to the City West and see how the celebrations are going on. Over to you, Michael.
Actually, Pat, it's over to me, but thank you anyway. And one Kilkenny man who last year this time didn't manage to taste quite the same level of success as his Kilkenny teammates is JJ Delaney, who tore his cruciate ligament 9 days before the All-Ireland final. Well, he's been back this season and just for a change decided to be one of the stars of the show all year. So, JJ, was it extra sweet this one today?
I suppose when you look at this time last year, like, you know, you're not having out, you're not part of the game, like, you know, you're kind of training all year just to play in the All-Ireland final, like, you know, and you kind of took away from you a week and a half before the game, and it's tough to take, but as I said, we just kind of put the head down and focus for this year now. Took every game as it comes, and lucky enough we got back to here again, like, you know.
So then did it feel that bit more special when you were lining out today and getting ready for this one?
It was, like, you know, because myself and Donegal had a bad injury as well this time last year, like, you know. He came up to me before the match, like, you know, and just said, think of where we were last year, like, you know, kind of put it all in context, like, you know, because we weren't talked out, we weren't part of the thing, like, you know. The two of us were talked out here today, like, you know. As I said, Henry got injured here today and Noel got injured here, and hopefully they'll be back here this time next year as well, like, you know.
Well, when you're a defender and you see your forwards in the opening minutes of the game putting over scores like that, what does it do to you? How does it make you feel?
It's a big motivation to the backs. Any back will tell you that, like, you know. You see Eddie or Taggy or Gorta winning the ball, like, you know, it's a big lift to the backs itself, like, you know. Especially when you see we got a couple of goals there and we kind of kicked on from there and kind of set the tone for the whole match then as well, like, you know.
So to enter, just text SCORE followed by your choice. That's letter A, B or C to 57111. That's 57111. If your choice matches that of our experts tonight, you could be going to the All-Ireland football final. Lines will stay open until 4:30 tomorrow afternoon, and the winner will be announced next Tuesday in the Star newspaper and on RT Airtel page 193. So text away.
Laois's Kieran Willis was sent off for kicking an opponent off the ball early in the second half. Despite this, James Doyle kicked 2 fine scores to reduce the gap to just 2 points. Derry shifted gears again, however, and responded in style. Aidan Heron gathered the breaking ball and found himself with only the goalkeeper to beat. Laois threatened another late comeback when Conor Meredith fired past Andrew Warnock after finding some room in a congested penalty area. The Midlanders were reduced to 13 players minutes later, however, when John O'Loughlin was sent off for a second yellow card. The final whistle followed shortly after. It was Derry who celebrated a hard-fought victory. They now meet Galway in next Sunday's decider. Final score, Derry 4-7, Laois 1 goal and 11 points.
We didn't want to worry too much with our last 10 minutes. As I said the last day, it was fair play to Laois to come back. They're the one that rattled in the fine scores at the finish and they deserved the replay. But thank God our lads just didn't think that was their chance missed and they got back at it and fair play to them, done very well out there.
I'm very proud of our lads. They came back when all looked gone. You know, they looked like we had no chance. So we got it back to within 3 points once. They actually got it back to 2 points. I thought it was great work on our
game again at centre forward. Donal O'Grady at midfield for Limerick, I thought worked tirelessly throughout. Mark Foley had a great game. Tommy Walsh had a great game for Kilkenny as well, as Michael Kavanagh had.
Okay, so those are some of the men who might win the Crystal tonight, but there's only one name in the envelope. To reveal all, here's Michael again.
Well, I can tell you that this is a player that when he's on fire, he's really on fire, and he certainly was that today. 1 goal and 5 points. Our man of the match 2007 is Eddie Brennan.